And we're back with Tatters of the King. Now, we left off uh, at a very interesting place. Do we have John? Do you have a short thing you could blurt out about, like a summary of events from last time?
I'm not sure how short it is because it was fairly extended. But needless to say, to wrap it all up, we went back to St Agnes. We investigated Roby being murdered. Our old friend, the doctor, got himself, or Thaddeus, got himself a new manservant. We eventually, through various means, managed to work out that this cult were performing their ceremony or whatever they were going to do up in a sort of small area of Scotland. We travelled up there. We met like another guy on the train on the way up there, a guy called Henry Lister, who was like had one of the sort of like secret thistle whistles that the cult all have, like the secret like buy a key whistles, and we sort of like he was like, I'm running late, and he was like dead nervous, and we sort of like outed him as a cult member and pretended, oh yeah, we're all on our way to the secret mission as well because we've got two of the whistles. He then went to the conveniences, the lavatory on board the train, and he had some sort of like breakdown, like effectively, and they sort of found him like Blair Witch style, like just like facing the wall. Well, we found him, so obviously we did the only rightful thing. We like nicked his whistle off him, so we've all got one, and then we sort of turned him over to the people on the train and continued on. We arrived in Scotland. We set out. It's snowy, so we've got a sleigh. We've got horses. We went through this forest. As we were moving through it, it's all misty. We keep seeing like a black shape moving up in the sky, and obviously having encountered these like horrendous black-winged creatures earlier on, we're all like, oh. We eventually find the same sort of monoliths that we saw previously, which we know are tied into this cult. We carried on. I recognised the lake from the earlier vision I'd had when trying to cast a spell, which is supposedly where Clinton, my character, is going to meet his demise. Followed along the trail, saw like what appeared to be like a small broken down house, and we're like, right, that must be the cult base. Started heading towards it, and as we did, the mists were rising around us. I know this sort of strange, like marble, eerie, like architecture and buildings that we'd not seen before were sort of looming out of the mist. And when we looked up, we could see there were like two moons above us. That was the point where we finished, where we pretty much realised we're like probably not in Kansas anymore. And that was pretty much where we wrapped up, with me being worried about imminent death and suddenly being like, oh, we're here not to be on Earth anymore.
Yep, that's true. With the correction that there were suns in the sky, not moons. So, yeah, you find yourselves in the front of the arch that was described previously. I have the picture here. That's the sort of arch we are talking about. And beyond it, you can see this gracious city, as mentioned before, of indeterminate age. You would guess from the look of it that's 17th, 18th century, thereabouts. And yeah, you are standing, let's say, 50 meters away from the arch now. What do you do?
Okay, so as we said at the end of the last session, we've obviously all got like our guns out because we were like our pistols and whatever, because we're like, all right, it's getting real. As we're walking, I'm going to keep sort of nervously glancing up because I'm expecting these creatures to attack us at any point. And I'm going to be slowly making my way towards the archway. Just obviously, I presume it's still sort of like misty and sort of hazy.
Yeah, yeah. There's the dread, like whiskers of the mist still cling on to you.
So I'm going to be sort of like, again, still with like the gun, sort of like keep glancing up, but like moving a bit closer to the arch, trying to get a better look at it, see if it's got like any inscriptions or any sort of details that I can't make out from this distance. But I'm sort of like, I'm on like a hairspring, so like looking very nervous. I'm expecting it. Obviously, given all the fantastic stuff that's happened to us, I'm expecting us to be assaulted by like horrendous beasts anytime soon.
So Olivier and Thaddeus, Clinton starts stepping forward. What do you guys do?
Turn around slowly and look back from where we came.
You can see some, I wouldn't say suburban, because it's not really the thing here, but you can see interspersed here and there, small, fairly modest houses, and a
But
forest.
no Scotland.
No.
Then he turns around again.
Mm-hmm. Olivier.
Olivier's lips start quivering. And almost kind of instinctively, seeing Clinton's initiative with the gun and kind of moving forward, he actually kind of clings onto his arm as he walks.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Thaddeus is inspecting the path that you were just walking, which isn't there anymore. And Clinton's going forward. Olivier is following in footsteps, or rather by the side. And Clinton takes these furtive glances at the sky. Now, Clinton, give me a spot hidden roll.
Okay. Nope.
You can use luck.
I think I might save him.
Yep. So you glance at the sky, and you do note that the stars seem to wink almost a little bit in the sky.
I imagine I do that thing where I sort of like I'm sort of like pointing my gun up at the sky, you know, because I'm expecting one of these things to come down any minute. But like after a few moments, because obviously given how injured I was previously, I'm gonna be sort of quite panicked about that happening again. So I'll be like,
Yeah, if I see him pointing his gun at the sky, I will, follow, expecting fully those flying vampires to come.
But I think after a few minutes, assuming nothing attacks us, I'll take a deep breath and try and sort of like calm myself down, which doesn't work.
Did you see anything?
There's something up there. I can't make it out though against the darkness, but we should all keep an eye out. And then I'm gonna very slowly and like reluctantly lower my gun down again, like I say, take a deep breath, trying to calm myself down, which doesn't really work. And then I'm gonna slowly start moving forward again towards the arch.
And as you do, Olivier, you notice this as well. Presumably, you've also reacted to Clinton being kind of twitchy about the sky. Because Clinton is moving forward, a lot of you take another glance at the arch, which the arch, as you entered this, whatever this place is, and we'll get back to that, it was the large ornate arch. It was topped by statuary, and there were two lions fighting, like growling and fighting at the top. And you glance at the gate now, after having looked at the sky, and it is changed. It is now much lower, but it's much more gilded with seemingly gold detail, and like all the edges are gilded with gold. And there's a statue of a single horse-headed bird carved seemingly from onyx at the top, and it's sort of like rearing.
I think that'll probably be the point where I'll sort of like stop moving forward, and I'll do that thing where I'll wipe my eyes like the back of my arm, just trying to sort of blink and like make sure I'm seeing now what I think I'm seeing.
Olivier, Thaddeus?
It's changed. What is that thing? What does that mean?
I don't know. It almost looks like a sphinx of some sort, but I've never seen anything like it in person. But it's clear we can't even rely on our own senses wherever we are. I say, sort of looking around. And then I'm going to carry on moving forward, but I'm going to be like keeping an eye on this statue, because I'm like, anything that looks bestial and sort of like it's made of like ebony is not good in my book.
So those of you who have read The Walker by the Lake, who would that be? Clinton?
Let me just check my big
I
list.
think it's just Clint, isn't it?
I'm the only one but I've only skim read it, but I'm the only one who's done that.
Yeah. Well, you strongly suspect that this might be the dream city of Carcosa.
Okay, so
from having read the Walker by the Lake, and as you like brush your eyes, a lot of you trying to get a grasp on things, moving a bit. The gate has changed again when you look upon it. Now it is a tall, thin building with a simple wooden door at the base and a great flame burning up at the top from a brazier and a flat roof. It's a lighthouse, like an old lighthouse.
Like old lighthouse.
Yeah, like a really old school lighthouse with the brazier being the light.
No.
So I'm going to say to you guys, I'll be like, you remember that German book we had, the Wandere Durstensee, the Walker by the Lake. I'm sure I remember seeing something not exactly like this, but a little bit like this when it was talking about the dream city of Carcosa, and I can't be sure. I only skimmed through it when we first got the book, but I'm sure I remember seeing something like this. And a thought occurs to me, since I'm now thinking, oh, we're in a dream city, and obviously we've been trying the whole sort of guided sort of dreaming and stuff like that. I want to see, and we know that this place can change because it's doing so in front of our eyes. I want to. We've been working at the lucid dreaming, which obviously allows you to control your own dreams. I'm going to like look around for something small, just like a little pebble or a little stick or something like that, and I'm going to try and concentrate on it. I'm going to try and calm myself down, doing some of like the meditations that we used for the lucid dreaming, to see if I can. But basically, to see if I can affect any change on like this small pebble or something. So I'm thinking, if we are in a dream and we can gain some measure of control over the dream, as we found before, that may give us a bit of an edge or allow us to get out of here. I'm not really sure. I'm obviously clutching at straws, but I'm just trying to find more something to occupy myself, so I don't basically like cack myself with like terror as we're like in this otherworldly place.
So as Clinton is doing this, Olivier and Thaddeus, what are you up to?
I think Olivier would probably try and reach for a bit of comfort as well, but he'll go into like his jacket and get out his pack of cards and start flicking through those, like getting the feel, looking at the detail of each picture card, for example, and just kind of keeping grounded, or else he's going to completely freak out at this point.
Thaddeus?
He's gonna look around and have amazement and bewilderment, and finally he will sheath his pistol and kind of roll up his sleeve on his jacket and pinch himself really hard to see if he can feel it.
Yeah, you can feel it.
As Olivier's kind of looking through his pack of cards and maybe he just sort of gets a bit better focus, he suddenly kind of looks at Clinton and Thaddeus and says, "Is this the part where we have to blow the whistle?"
Clinton, you try and you close your eyes and you hold this pebble and you try to affect your lucid dreaming on it.
Yeah, I'm basically seeing if I could, I don't know, like change the shape of the pebble or turn it into a flower, or just something that would show we can affect this dream. I'm not expecting it to be possible, but I'm just clinging to any hope that like there's some way we can find a way out of this, because obviously Thaddeus has looked back, the way back is gone. But I'm like, if it is a dream, dream city of Carcosa, maybe we can at least effect some sort of change if we can like control ourselves.
So as you hold the pebble in your hand, you go through the mental hoops of your technique, and you hear Olivier shuffling some cards, Thaddeus's coat moving about as he gets to his, because you were wearing your winter clothes before, so you hear him working through his clothes because he needs to pinch himself, and you open your eyes to look at the pebble again, trying to have shifted it into a rose or something, and it's still a pebble, but it was gray before, and now it's brown rock, and it's differently shaped, but it's still a pebble.
Okay, so I'm gonna look astounded because I wasn't expecting that to work at all, and then I'm going to show Thaddeus and Olivier this pebble. They'll see me pick up this grey stone, and I say, "Yes, just look. We're obviously in some sort of dream. Look, I've managed to change this rock, not as I'd hoped to, but at least we can have some effect on this dream world, whatever it is that we're trapped in."
A pebble, and he looks angry.
Oh,
You come to me with a pebble, and he kind of flicks your hand. I guess pebble flying.
I'm like, look,
I think we're having a mass psychosis, or we actually travel to a different world somehow, somewhere. I don't know. I don't think a pebble will help us get home.
Okay, Thaddeus, I can see you're having trouble with this. Let me put it in a way that you can understand. You're a man of science. You're a man of medicine, correct? In the real world, do I, Clinton Hardy, your brother-in-law, have some magical power to change the colour and shape of pebbles? A simple yes or no answer will do.
He's really struggling with that because I guess he kind of know they studied the spells, right?
Did you see me perform any spell? You've seen the meditations we go through to do the lucid dream.
Fine.
I mean, you're the one who taught me.
No, I have not seen you demonstrate any pebble.
Well, as I've said, then
alteration.
it's clear we are in the, somehow we've been translated into the dream city that the wanderer, the walker by the lake, spoke of.
But why?
Presumably because this is where the cult is performing their ritual, and as I've shown, with sufficient strength of will, me on my own, I can affect small changes. Imagine what a group of people, all in sync, working together with God only knows what sort of creatures helping them. Imagine the change that they could effect on a larger scale. Perhaps it's easier for them to work their will here, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I know no more facts than you. I'm just guessing, that is.
As I see, we have two options here. One, we resist this in the belief we are experience a mass psychosis together, which, to be honest, we have spent a lot of time together, and we have delved into very questionable subjects and very disreputed people we have met and encountered, and even engaged in a physical conflict with them. Or we accept this as being reality, and we try to play by those rules.
Well, the way I see it, with your two possibilities, the two possibilities as far as I see them are: one, we somehow, when we entered that mist, we fell asleep, and our real wakeful selves are actually lying on a path in the cold in Scotland, and we're somehow sharing this dream, or one of us is having this dream, I don't know, or somehow we've physically entered this dream place via some means I don't even claim to understand.
No, and sorry, he fiddles with his pocket and takes out the whistle. You know, when I said this was, and he holds it up, of an unknown, not terrestrial compound.
Yes, I remember.
We don't have two suns,
Well, no.
which leads me to believe that, how insane this might seem, we should embrace it, because if the other reality is the truth, then well, we will die anyway, because if we fell asleep in the snow in a blizzard, our chances are survival.
Assuming time even is passing at a rate here. I mean, if we are in a dream, you can travel many miles in a dream and it only seems to take a few seconds, or you can have a dream that seems to last months and you wake up and only a few hours have passed. We don't know. It could be.
I see it,
Oh, sorry,
that,
Olivia.
well, I was just going to say that we've already seen terrifying things happen before our eyes. We've seen creatures come in from the sky. We've seen some crazy wizard with tentacle hands. And the fact that all this seems to be in this book that you've read, Clinton. You're right. This is where the cultists are going to be, and we need to stop them somehow.
Okay, so let's focus on that reality. Why are they doing this? And what are we trying to stop them from? We're not trying to stop them from reaching any kind of pauses, Carcosa, because
Well, Thaddeus, if you remember, the only other place I've heard Carcosa mentioned was in the play that we first went to see together, and there was a sequence in the play near the end when they were all talking, and they said that their kingdom had now become Carcosa. The two were sort of overlaid on each other. They were one place, from my understanding of it. Perhaps the cultists are trying to do the same sort of thing here. Maybe they're trying to. They've obviously already succeeded in a small fashion, because we walked along a path in Scotland and here we are. Perhaps they're trying to bring Carcosa to the real world, to make them one place.
You have to give, and he looks around at this, I guess, Renaissance Italian copy town. It is far more pleasing to look at than our reality, Scotland.
Well, yes. Aside from all the murderous creatures flying through the sky, and all the no doubt mind-bending horrors that look. I mean, think of how many horrible things a person's mind can conjure in a mundane dream. Imagine if this dream logic becomes the normal everywhere in the world. Who knows what havoc and chaos and loss of life it will cause.
Yes. Oh, I think Olivia might have a point. I think we should blow the whistle.
Has the lighthouse changed at all? It has.
Sorry?
Has the lighthouse changed, like, shape again, I think?
What was Olivier doing while this discussion was?
I was contemplating blowing that whistle again. Because he's in belief that obviously this place is real, at least to some degree.
I'm gonna say that for the moment, no. The lighthouse is still there. So to be perfectly clear, the sort of limits of the city proper are sort of around where the arch originally was, and then the following arch was in the same spot, and now the city entrance, quote unquote, seems to be this thin lighthouse building with the humble wooden door at the bottom.
Okay, so can I just check? Aside from the pebble and the arch / lighthouse, nothing else has changed around us. It's just those things.
Okay, so I think if you like take a glance at the lighthouse, it's still there. Look at the ground where you Thaddeus slapped your hand and the pebble went flying. You look around and you see, which this wasn't there before, the sort of piece of road leading up to what is now the lighthouse, it is now covered in like a mosaic of stones set into the ground, like a very humble, basic version of a mosaic pattern, but it's a mosaic of gray stones in like swirling patterns. There's no brown pebble.
Okay, well, if you think I'll also be a bit shaken by that, but I'm like, well, if you think it's best to blow the whistle, please do. Everything seems to be guiding us towards this building. I'm going to keep my eyes on the lighthouse as I'm talking, because I'm sort of working on the assumption, probably wrong, but I'm working on the assumption it's when we look away and we look back that it changes. So I'm trying to keep my eyes on it. And
that's what happened before.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm going to say, if you need to blow the whistle, please feel free. Everything seems to be pointing us toward the lighthouse, so I'm going to move closer and try and investigate it. And I suggest we make sure.
No. If we blow the whistle, one of us will blow the whistle, and the two others will be ready to shoot the vampire when it comes.
Do we know that's what it will definitely do? We have only blown it once.
Yeah, our working knowledge of the whistles is very low.
Yeah, I know, but he said summoning monsters from the sky.
Yeah, vampire whistle, like that's great.
In his mind, that's exactly what could happen.
Yeah.
But he no, I suppose not. Well, we'll find out. And he gets out his pistol and make sure that it's ready.
Okay, I'm gonna try and position myself so I can be sort of like looking up with my gun, but like still out the corner of my vision, I can like see the lighthouse. So sort of like angle myself so I can be sort of looking up, but I can still see.
Yeah, you can position it like it's on the right edge. So
yeah, and I'm gonna say, I suggest as we're doing this, Olivier, we make sure that we can keep the lighthouse in sight, because it seems that when we take our eyes off it, that's when it changes.
Okay.
All right. So who's blowing a whistle? Okay. So do you go like, or do you go in for the like referee?
Neither. So I kind of start gentle and gradually blow harder.
Yeah.
So I'm almost kind of trying to sound a horn, you know. But obviously it's a whistle. Keep my eye on the lighthouse as well.
Yep.
And hoping that this does something worthwhile.
You see, or rather, you hear this sort of the scale of the whistle as Olivier starts using it, and it reaches the shrill beak that you've heard before a couple of times, and you stop, Olivier, and then presumably all of you wait for a bit, waiting for the attack to come down from...
Pistol out.
Yep. The attack doesn't come. There's nothing that happens after you have waited for a bit. Above you, the sky with the two setting suns in front of you behind the city, and the sky with twinkling stars. Nothing else moves.
Well, I can't say I'm upset that doesn't seem to do anything. I'm going to go and have a look at this lighthouse, and I'm going to start heading towards the lighthouse.
Yes, I'll follow you.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so we head on to the lighthouse. You find at the base of the lighthouse, like I said, a very simple wooden door. There's just like a ring handle. You just pull it open.
Yeah, I'm just going to reach out and...
Yep.
I'm going to have the gun ready as I sort of pull it back in case something comes out.
It's a short corridor with another simple wooden door at the other side, and there is a staircase, presumably leading up the lighthouse. Like within it, you can get to the top if you want, and then there is what seems to be a clothing rack with, I think, like one of those like half capes that goes down to like your belt, but not that much lower, and then 3 masks, and I'm gonna throw it over to you guys. What are the 3 masks? You can determine this as you like.
But one of them is obvious of a hawk.
Okay, so there's one vicious bird mask.
No, I mean pig mask.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so yeah, this porcine mask is one of them.
Like the Hawkmeister.
Yeah.
Are these masks particularly related to our characters, or are they just like?
It's entirely up to you.
Okay, yeah. So I'll say one of them actually is like a bird mask, vaguely reminiscent of like the Sphinx that we saw previously.
I think the other one would be kind of, a bit like those two masks. I can't remember what they're called. The happy and sad masks.
Comedy and
Yeah, the
tragedy.
theater mask. Yeah, the drama
yeah.
mask. Yeah.
Yeah, so a bit like the comedy mask, except kind of got a fatter face, looks a bit more kind of gluttonous. If that makes sense. Maybe has like some little grapes draped around him.
It's probably like some kind of like morality play picture thing from like
like some sort
gluttony
of
is
golden
bad.
Dionysus style mask or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the three masks along with this one half cape that are on the clothing rack, and then just a simple corridor, and then carved stone steps up.
I'm probably going to pick up one of the masks just to like have a look at it, mainly to like reassure myself that like it's tangible and it's real.
Yeah,
but just sort of
you
have a
can
look
touch
at it and see what it seems to be made of, or
Yeah, it's made from, I think probably plaster to some degree, and just because that's very easy to make masks from. And there's a strap that you can use to put it on, as well.
okay. Well, I think given that I'm the debauched artist around town, I'm going to pick up the chubby Dionysus mask, and because I'm convinced that like all this follows some sort of weird dream logic, given everything we're seeing. I'm going to try on the sort of gold Dionysus mask, just see if like things look different through it or what happens.
No,
So
it's
try it on.
Yep, yeah, it fits you, and you put it on. Things don't look different, but yeah, it's a mask.
I'll just turn to Thaddeus and I'll say, "When in Rome."
Indeed. Johannes, we came from a blizzard. How is the weather here?
It's sort of warm but not hot Mediterranean evening.
Okay. I will take off my heavy coat and put it on the rack.
Yep.
And take I guess the piggy.
The hog, the HOGG.
Okay, I'll take the bird mask.
Yeah. So all of you have masks. Do you guys put them on? Clinton already did, but
Yeah, I'll put mine on, and I'll say, yeah, good idea. We don't want to be seen.
And then because we've got like travelling clothes and whatever, and presumably hoods because we're in like winter weather, I'm gonna like pull my hood up so like they can't see the rest of me. I'm in like my all weather gear, but I've got the hood pulled up and it's just like the mask. I'm thinking that might buy me a few seconds if they think I'm like a member of their cult. If we bump into them.
Shouldn't someone put the cape on?
Fine, it's not going to go with my outfit, but
yeah. So half cape on top of this winter coat,
why
and
not?
off we go.
Why not? I've always been a trendsetter, and I'm gonna start moving forward to like the other door.
Yep.
Again, open it. So I'm gonna tuck the gun in my belt, like, so I can pull my coat over it because I don't want it to be obviously on display. But I'm gonna have my hand there ready in case as I inch the door open, anything leaps out.
Yep. So you slowly open the door. Again, there's no kind of lock. It's just the ring handle. So you open it, and I'm going to. There's a handout thing which isn't. I guess it's more of a mood piece, but this is the sort of scenery we're going to go through as we explore the city. I know it's a little bit small, but unfortunately I couldn't get a higher res.
Well, no one's perfect, our boy.
Yeah. We'll just have to do with our imaginations and dreams.
Indeed.
So-
my plan is just like keep pressing forward and moving through this lighthouse until we come across.
Yep. Yep. So you open the door at the other end, and you are treated to a view of the city proper. And so there's all kinds of architecture here, but most of it, as mentioned before, is this sort of formal Italian-esque 17th, 18th century. You can see these bell towers. There's some relief work on the walls of buildings. Every roof is red tile roof, like you would have. Everything is quite clean. You can see this, what do they call it? Let me refer my notes. So there's an esplanade that opens up before you as you open the door from the other side of the lighthouse. And it's very clean, tidy. There's no trash on the street anywhere. Very well trimmed, sort of ornamental pieces of, like there's some bush here and like a very cultivated tree. So this esplanade opens up before you. It's a long one. It stretches forward quite a bit. There's buildings on both sides of it.
So sorry, just to make sure I've got this correct in my mind. We open up the doorway in a lighthouse and there's like a street in front of us.
Yeah, like a proper city street.
Yeah. So obviously I'm a bit taken aback by that, but probably a bit less so because, like I say, I believe this whole thing is like a dream. So I'm like, well, yeah, of course in a dream you can open a door in a lighthouse and be walking down the street, obviously. So I'm going to sort of push on cautiously, but I'm going to be sort of like looking around myself as I move because, like I say, I think it's a dream and obviously anything can happen in a dream, so I'm quite on edge. But as we're moving, because I believe this is a dream, I'm going to be trying to, sort of, in my mind, focus on the fact we need to find this cult. We need to get to wherever they are, wherever they're doing their thing, in the hope that if we all sort of, and I'll say this to like Thaddeus and Olivier, that we should all focus on where we want to go and like finding this cult. Because if this is a dream, if we do that, we might be able to get there quicker. Rather than just sort of aimlessly wandering around, we should all try and focus our thoughts on where we want to be.
So
Interesting theory, but okay.
On Alexander Roby or
No, on the
Montague Edwards.
on the I'm going to focus my thoughts on the ceremony or whatever it is they're doing in the hopes that it will take us to where they're performing it. And I'm going to start doing like the breathing sort of exercises to try and like blot out any which I know will make me a bit easier to surprise because I'm not focused.
Hang on. If your theory is correct, then why wouldn't it be? We don't know there is a ceremony. We don't know there is a ritual. We don't know if it took place or it's about to take place. How about we instead focus on what we know? And we know Montague Edwards and Alexander Roby.
Okay.
And if we find those, we could find this ritual.
Okay, everyone.
So I suggest
we know.
You.
Okay.
And we'll use that as a beacon.
Okay, I suppose. But I agree. I mean, I think we should focus more on Roby because we've met Roby. We know more about him. He's more familiar to us.
Yes. I mean, I think we met Edwards too, but.
Well, yes, but we've not seen him as often.
That is an unknown.
But yes, if you think that's going to help us, Thaddeus, by all means.
As you said, if we might as well embrace the notion and accept this as being reality. So yes, and he gets out his wedding ring and the chain. Okay, Clinton, you'll start to feel woozy, sleepy. You are very susceptible to my suggestions. And I'll try to make a hypnosis roll.
Yeah, with the intent of
basically turning him into the Pathfinder.
Okay.
Yeah, because obviously we're saying that like the idea is to like focus our thoughts on where we're going to try and move through this dream state. But obviously, there's loads of distractions and stuff. Whereas he's
his
trying to
dream
hypnotize
logic.
me and be like, just focus on this 100%.
Yeah. So we embrace his dream logic and
Mhm.
try to, laser tone it a bit.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna say that there's a thing here which you can now, because you succeeded in this, and Clinton was working on this without this hypnosis stuff as well. Clinton, you will have a better. First of all, the hypnosis does fuck all. Like, you don't fall asleep, you don't go into a trance, but you are more in tune with what is going on around you here. So you become sort of like hyper aware of stuff.
Okay.
Which this is a thing that has not happened before. You've always gone into the trance state. Doesn't happen here. And you will have, what do they call it? Do they call it advantage here in rolls?
I think
Bonus.
it's bonus.
Okay, yeah.
Bonus
Oh
die.
yeah, because it's the I can see it now. Yeah, so
Bonus
you will have
advantage.
a bonus die for your next instance of needing to pathfind in a situation where that is necessary. So you do have this sort of latent connection that you now feel to this place as a result of this, but you don't actually, your consciousness never drops like it did before.
Okay, so obviously I'll relay to Thaddeus and Olivier that obviously they'll know it's not put me in a trance because they can see that. But I do say I feel a little bit strange and somehow sort of connected to everything that's going on around us. It seems sort of it's still strange, but it seems a little bit less eerie, as though I'm sort of understanding it a little bit more, or I'm at least not as afraid of it.
Good. Do you have a better idea? Can you see Roby, or do you have an inkling as to where he is?
That's a no on both counts, Clinton.
No, I don't, but I believe we should stick to the previous plan. We should all focus our attention on Roby, and we should continue down this street whilst doing so.
If we are
Right.
indeed the dream logic, intuition would be the way to go. So I agree.
And we'll start walking down the street, all trying to focus our attention on Roby.
Yep, so you enter the esplanade, you walk down. It's a broad walkway. It's lined by porticos of large buildings. There are no visible doors, however, to the buildings, and the windows are all high up on the wall. So you stroll down the street. It's like, if the context was different and this was a place in the quote-unquote the real world, this would be a pretty nice place to have an evening walk. However, you are, as we said, not in Kansas anymore. And you stroll down the walkway, and you are somewhat shook by an instance of several windows. They're the ones with the like wooden shutters and whatnot. So several shutters flow open on one of these buildings lining the broad walkway, and several people dressed in the sort of time appropriate nice clothing, all wearing masks of different kinds. They lean out of this building, which you have just passed, so you already like went beyond it, and you're just like, like taken aback a little bit by hearing this noise of the shutters and these people behind you, and they lean out of their little windows. There's a bunch of chatter between them. What do you do?
Can we hear what they're saying or understand it?
You can. It's not English or French, but you can understand it somehow. You can tell that it's not any of the languages you talk or speak, but you can still understand it. They're talking about there's like snippets of conversation that you can catch, and it's like, no, I saw him. He went that way, and then there's a sort of shout or shriek of recognition, and sort of like aha, and there's like one of them like leans out very far from the window, past all the others, and like points ahead of you, like down the walkway, and there's some sort of embarrassed laughter by the others when this happens.
As soon as someone like points down the walkway and they're like, "Oh, I've seen someone down there," I'm going to start running down the walkway. Because as far as I'm, and I know this is wrong, but as far as I'm saying, like, we were focused on like Alexander Roby, and we're like, we've got to find a way to, find Alex Roby, and then mysteriously these people appear, and they're like, I saw him go that way, and I'm like, it's working. So as soon as they point, I'm just going to be like running
Makes
in that
sense.
direction.
I'll follow and run.
Okay, Olivier.
Yeah. I mean, I'd agree with Clinton as well. Absolutely. So instinctively, I would just jog on with him.
Yeah. So a lot of you bolt down. Now, you did glance at these people leaning out the windows. You look back on the Esplanade, it has changed. So all the flora are different, all the arrangements are different, the buildings, the details have shifted, the colors have shifted. You belt down this walkway, and you can see some 300 yards away, there's because these are the first people that you've seen here, aside from yourselves, obviously. There is like the very end of someone's flowing clothing disappearing into an alleyway like 300 yards away.
Yeah, I'm going to be following that fluttering robe at all the mighty speed my impressive size and long stride can muster.
Going to be dexterously nipping between the alleyways.
Yep. So you run after this figure, and you presumably you're aiming for the alleyway it went down.
Yeah.
So you're between these two large buildings with porticos, and you're looking into this alleyway. It seems to lead to a bridge that goes above a canal. Now, canal's very much a thing in the sort of aesthetic makeup of this place. So you can see the canal beyond these buildings. You can go there. There's a small walkway behind the buildings, like on either side of the canal, and then there's this thin bridge. Let me get the details here. So okay,
A bridge, you say?
Sorry?
A thin bridge, you say?
Yeah. Yeah, so there's on the edges of the canal, there's a low wall. It's broken on one place by steps that head down, so that's sort of like access points in the canal side. There's a thin, slim bridge going over the canal. Doesn't really like it's not the sort of thing you would build because it's dangerous. It doesn't have any kind of railings on it. It's so thin that you can pretty much have 1 foot at a time. So it's just literally putting 1 foot on top of like ahead of each other, and then the canal itself seems to be very deep. The waters are very far away from the street level, so it's a long distance down, but you can hear the noises of water down there.
Okay,
and,
so
yeah.
as we see this, can we see any sign of the person we were pursuing?
Yes. So you can see again the flutter of tattered robes. Let's see. What is this? It's on the far bank on the other side of the canal, disappearing into a doorway.
Okay, so this bridge, obviously it's very narrow, like I said, 1 foot in front of the other.
Mm-hmm.
How long is it? Like, how wide is the canal?
Let me get the detail. Let's see.
1 million miles.
Yeah.
It gets
does.
longer as you run across the bridge.
It will never end. Okay, let's see. 20 feet long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
So my sorry, go ahead, Olivia.
Oh, I was just going to ask actually, because Olivier feels confident that he can cross this because he is like the king of dexterity.
Mm-hmm.
But
I keep telling you that's never going to wash as a stage name, old boy.
no, it doesn't really. Does this setup, this bridge and all that, does it remind him of where Dr. Trollope was killed in any way?
It has some of the same elements. There's the bridge, obviously. There's water under the bridge. However, this isn't a lake, so that's a little bit like different.
Okay,
But
right,
yeah,
right.
there's a bridge and there's water underneath it, and there's there's more because it was in the St. James Park. This is more parky area where Trollope was murdered. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
Yeah, well, it has some of the same elements.
Well, my thoughts at the minute are, given that I'm a fairly sort of big fellow and I'm fairly strong, is to basically run up to the bridge, sort of get halfway across the bridge, and then when I think I can safely jump the rest of the distance onto the bank, do that so that I have to, because obviously I know I'm going to have to slow down to go across the bridge, but I want to try and make the period of time I have to go slowly as short as possible, because we're trying to follow the man in the tattered robes.
Are you doing that, or are you thinking about doing that?
No, I'm doing it. I'm running up to the bridge.
Okay.
I'm going to start going over like that, and then when I think I've got to the point where I'm like, yeah, I think I can jump the rest of it, I'm just going to jump to the bank and then like after the guy.
Yeah. Okay. So
I'll run
a lot of
after
you
him.
belt down the walkway. You turn into this alleyway. You come upon this canal. Thaddeus, what's up?
I'll follow. I'll run after him.
Okay,
But
so-
I'll use the technique of moving across this rapidly instead of jumping the last. Like it's kind of like when you stop to and then you lose balance. So he'll just be focused on.
Yeah, just
the
forward
point.
momentum.
Yes.
Like if nothing else, just like fall forward.
Yes.
Okay, so Clinton's like keeping up the pace, like having sighted the tattered robes, just like goes for it. Clinton, give us a what is it?
I'm hoping you'll say strength for
Jump,
a jump.
Jump.
Well, it's going to be dexterity when you get to the jumping point.
Is it
But,
There's actually a jump.
That's how there's a jump skill, yeah.
There is a jump skill, yes.
For my skeleton, it is. Poor.
yeah. Let's go with dexterity first of all here.
Okay.
Because you're not
You're
like
not a
there's
leaper.
Oh, boom! Success.
good. So let's see. Yeah. Good. Okay. Yes. So yeah, you take your steps and then you jump the rest of the way. You're on the other side. Thaddeus, you're next. Let's get that dexterity show on the
Be
road.
right back.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
I think I can do that.
How much luck have you got?
I can do it. I will do it. I will spend luck.
That's most of your luck, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I now have 3 points of luck left. But I don't want to fall into an endless room.
Yeah, that's not a lot of luck. Okay, so yeah, you spend your luck. There's that bit in the middle where you're like, whoa, but yeah, you make it.
And that's exactly what I wanted to avoid. That whoa.
Yeah, I suppose what you wanted to avoid was like tumbling down.
Oh, okay, that's fair enough. That too.
So yeah, you make it across. Now, the king of dexterity. Let's
I've
see.
set myself up now, haven't I?
Yep. Well, there we go.
I can spend 6 luck.
I mean, I will say with 90, he is the king of dexterity, but damn you, Jason, you rules.
I'd spend the 6 of luck if I was you, old boy.
Shouldn't it? Well, shouldn't it be? No, it should crit fail on 100 surely, because it's over 50.
I'm not
Oh,
sure. I will check.
It could fail on 95 and above.
Yeah, I
regardless
think
of what-
it might be the last 5%.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna check that.
that used to be the old rule anyway.
Well, so either way, you can still spend 6 luck to like.
I can, yeah. No, because I was reading up on this yesterday, because I keep forgetting about this rule. But if your skill is under 50 and you get 96 or more, then yes, you crit fail. But if it's over 50, then it's just 100.
Oh,
Although
That
crit
is
executes-
that is entirely unnecessary. I will go down on record as saying that is not necessary in this design.
I'll say it might just be the case of they've not built that into the sheet.
Johannes, you need to come up with something to fill 600 pages of rule books.
Anyway, I will do
Yeah.
the look.
Yep, you succeed. So with the dexterity of a jongleur, you make it across this thin bridge over the canal, over troubled waters, as they say. And yeah, you dash after these two. Now, there's an element here which involves you being like traveling in sequence, because we had Clinton doing it first. Thaddeus cannot do it at the same time, so that's like Clinton going first, Thaddeus being in the middle, Olivier coming next. Clinton, are you going full pelt down, door open?
Yep.
Okay, so Clinton gets to the door first. It's again one of those, just a pull ring, just open inside. Thaddeus, you see Clinton doing this. What do you do?
I follow.
Okay. And then Olivier, you can see Thaddeus doing this.
Yeah, I mean, what I was trying to do, hopefully, I'm not the best at running, but try and close the gap so I'm kind of in cover with them.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get what should I presume there's no running skill. That would be a whole
No,
thing.
normally you would do something like a con roll if it's like endurance based or
Yeah.
strength based if it's sprinting. Possibly.
Yeah, let's go with strength. So give us a strength roll. See if you can
God.
get to Thaddeus. Thaddeus the Daddius. Yes,
Oh!
extremely so.
Oh yes,
So
I can.
so what happens is you dash after Thaddeus. You get to him as he's like throwing the door open, because it's swinging on its hinges, so it's kind of like halfway closing already. So Thaddeus gets it open. You both go in. You're in what seems to be a it's a residential house. So you come in through what seems to be a kitchen. So there's this very like mundane, modest stove. There's a bunch of tables to prepare food. You can see there's a door which looks for all the like all the world like a door to the larder. You can see another door which presumably leads deeper into the house. Now both of these doors are closed, and Clinton isn't here.
Clinton?
Yeah, Thaddeus. Olivier is calling for Clinton. You can't see him either. There's a pan on the stove, though.
Okay, I'll just take the nearest door and open it.
Okay, so yeah, it's a larder. So you peer into the larder. There's a bunch of foodstuffs there. Nothing special. Then there's the other door, which if you get it open, it's sort of like a living room type situation, sitting room.
Okay.
With yet another door to go to a different room in the house.
Okay, I'll go into the living room and
Okay, Olivier, what's up?
call out his name.
I'm gonna get out my trusty sword stick and slowly skulk my way through. Is there a way out to like the front or like a balcony, something like that?
Yeah, that would be beyond the living room space.
Okay.
There's a
Right.
door there as well, which
Cool.
Thaddeus is in the living room calling for Clinton.
Okay. Yeah, I'll move through the living room. Are there windows in this room?
Not so far. No.
Okay, fine. So
Yep.
no creepy people reaching through potentially. So yeah, I'm gonna just move straight through.
Yep. So you get to the living room. open the door. There's a balcony there. You're looking down to a street.
Mhm.
You can see some very festive people dressed in their like festive fineries. They're all wearing masks. They're sort of like dancing and capering and sort of like half running, like down the street, sort of like a carnival situation. But it's just like a handful of them, and they very rapidly disappear into the distance. And yeah, there's the balcony. There's a chair there. There's a table with a glass on it. The glass is empty.
I'm assuming I didn't see a chubby Dionysus in that crowd anywhere.
No.
Okay.
Rather, I think you would have looked for the massive winter coat, which no one here has.
Fair enough.
yeah. No, none of that.
No.
In the crowd.
Okay. Can I hear anything on the roof? I kind of turn my attention, like lean up and look to the roof.
No, but you can hear some. It's coming from where the crowd went. You can hear some singing and some music, like distantly drifting towards you.
Okay.
But no one's on the roof as far as you can tell from sound.
Okay. I bend over as much as I can, really.
Yeah, looking down. It's a cobblestone street. No trash anywhere. On the other side, plaster-covered houses, red roof tiles.
But
Some
no source.
yeah, festive bunting.
No source of the music, though.
No, it drifts on the wind from down the street. You think maybe?
Okay. I regroup with the doctor. Any sign of him?
Assuming I'm still here.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Clinton, where are you?
He's vanished. There was a crowd down on at the front, but he definitely wasn't in amongst them. There's some strange music that were going on outside. It was a bit unnerving. But also the fact he's disappeared.
You said there was a door leading further in from the living room?
Yeah, that was the balcony door.
Okay.
How far up is the balcony, actually?
Let's say 10 feet.
Okay. In that case, I suggest to Thaddeus that we follow this carnival crowd at a safe distance, and hop over the balcony.
Yeah, that is.
And drop 10 feet.
Take 1d6 damage. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I mean in D&D. In Call of Cthulhu, no.
yeah, in Cthulhu is okay, so Olivier and Thaddeus, you get down from the balcony. It takes some doing, but it's not like a massive feat of acrobatics. Yeah, so you get down and start going down the street, the cobblestone street, following this melody, which you think Olivier has some kind of flutes and also violins, and then some indistinct singing, maybe. It's hard to make out. Okay.
Wait, how weird is it just like, oh, this is the music of a different culture, so I'm not used to it, so it sounds kind of like weird, or is it like, oh, this is really like experimental jazz in a different dimension?
it's the kind of music that when you're in a different country, it's nighttime, you're walking the sort of like bar street,
Okay.
and you can hear like snatches of music from here and there.
Okay, got it.
Yep. Right. Okay. So
all these people have masks on.
Yes. They're all different.
Okay. But they're the same like you expect with a Renaissance Italian carnival situation.
Yeah, a lot of animal motifs, some nature motifs as well. Like I'm talking about plants, really, and then like mythological stuff on top of that. All right, so you continue.
But the pig and the hog isn't
Mhm.
chaps. The pig and the hog will be pursuing.
The Hawk Pig brothers.
Yeah. Right. So you continue down. You follow these snatches of music and conversation and singing that you pick up, and you end up at an amphitheater. Let me get my notes. Yep. So you're on one side of what looks like a large stage of an immaculate Roman-style amphitheater. The semicircle of stone rises up and away, and it looks like it's still in use. There's equipment laying about. You can see there's some scaffolding that they've put up to presumably like get the whole like backdrops and build some of the scenery elements as well. Basically like paraphernalia to make amphitheater stuff go. And yeah, so you arrive at this place. It's a little bit different from what you've seen before, but it does sort of blend into. Before you got here, there was a bunch of columns that you saw. So there's a sort of shift in the theme, the architectural style, and you come upon this amphitheater now, which it looks to be in great condition. It's not deteriorated, and come to think of it, everything kind of looks in good condition. You haven't really seen nothing's dilapidated or like decrepit or worn down really.
Mhm.
And yeah, as you stand around looking at stuff, and please give me a spot hidden roll.
Oh, goody. Nope.
So Thaddeus, you have one action's worth of time to react as you see from behind one of the columns of the amphitheater grounds, someone's behind there, and you can see a hand coming up from behind the column holding a revolver. You can do one thing before
I'll
things.
draw my pistol and call out, "Look out, shooter!"
Mhm.
I think drawing a weapon is an action. But,
I'm fine with you just saying like like shooter. So that would be Olivier. How do you react when Thaddeus is like shooter?
I duck.
Okay, so you throw yourself, I suppose, like behind some scaffolding.
If that's possible, yeah.
Yeah, you can just toss yourself into the ground, and Thaddeus, you get shot at.
I return the fire.
Yeah, the shot goes very wide. And the reason is quite clear. It's just the hand. Like someone's doing fairly like basically blind shooting your way. So one shot rings out, the amphitheater echoes with the shot. What do you do, Thaddeus?
I respond with a shot.
Oh
Pow!
shit! Oh shit!
Um,
Okay, roll for damage.
Oh yeah, I forgot to use the combat. Oh my god. I'll just roll again and just
Okay.
take for the damage. The damage.
Oh, the
you still got another extreme though, lucky bastard.
What? I should get
11
that.
damage. Let's see.
Ooh.
Okay, yeah. So you shoot,
That's
and I think
this one.
what happens is
I don't know.
you because it's only the hand right now that you can see.
Yeah.
So what literally happens is you shoot the guy like here between these two fingers, and it just goes in through the hand and like lodges itself somewhere down the like forearm, and the man just like falls over, just screeching. Yeah, you can see this man in he's not terribly far away, so you can see in fairly good detail. So he has short, neatly cut brown hair. He's a little bit fat in the face. He has not shaved in a while, so he has a lot of like stubble going on. He's dressed in a tweed suit and suit and tie, and right now he's rolling on the ground, shrieking because you shot his hand to bits.
Huh. I'm gonna draw my sword stick again, run over and kick the gun away.
Oh yeah. He doesn't even notice you. He's just like holding his hand and just like and there's some because the bullet went cleanly inside, so there's the blood that is coming out. It's just coming out between his fingers now. So he's just like holding his hands and just, Yeah, you kick the revolver away.
Wait, I'm assuming we don't recognize this person.
No. I'm gonna. Yeah, good point. I'll give you a token.
But as he's withering in pain, I'll just open his tweet and look for a whistle.
Yeah, he has one.
It's one of them, he says to Oliver. Speak, man, why did you shoot at us? I grow weary of your cult.
I love the fact you're trying to talk to him civilly while he's like.
So he figures that it actually hurts more if he is like keeping like compressing his hand because the damage is inside. So he sort of lets go and he's trying to get his handkerchief to put on the hand, and he's just like he's trying to talk like through the pain. He's like, I thought you were monsters. Oh God. And he's like trying to put the handkerchief on the wound.
Keep an eye out, Olivia. I will give this poor fella some. Shut up, John. Give this poor fella some first aid.
Yeah. Okay. Give us a roll. Yeah. So
I don't even have luck if I wanted.
Yeah. No. So I'm gonna say what you can do is you can stop the bleeding, but he's not going to be able to do anything with his hand until it
stopping the bleeding is good. So
Yep.
I'll take that.
Yeah. So you get him patched up as best as we can.
Oh yeah. He is probably in a lot of pain. So I'll get out the precisely, well dosed morphine syringe.
Yeah. The brilliantly designed and measured syringe that we crafted previously. Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
If you tell us what we want to know, I will give you this for the pain. It is more.
Okay, what do you want to know? He's just sweating bullets.
Where's the rest of the cult?
They're in the palace, of course.
And why are you out here? And he takes the safety off the syringe.
Safety.
Yeah, the little.
I thumbed the safety off.
Yeah, gets a syringe out. Like.
The thing you put on the needle so it doesn't prick.
Yeah. The I don't know, like cap or something.
Yeah, cap.
Yeah. Okay. He sort of mumbles a little bit delirious, like, "You're all wearing masks." So you were asking about
why he was out here and where's the castle?
Yeah. So
unless the castle is obvious on a hill or something we can see.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So he says that, "Oh, I lost my nerve. I'm scared of what's gonna happen when we're done here. Oh
Which
God! And he's
is?
he's looking at his hand, and it's there's more blood that's coming through, but he's not bleeding to death. But it's like, oh God, it's seeping through. You know that
No,
he's gonna be fine.
it should be fine. Stop many a bleeding wound. You might lose the ability to use the hand, but you should live. And he gives him the syringe of
One more
death.
question before you do that, though, Doctor. Have you seen somebody else with a mask on? Chubby man, grapes.
They're all wearing masks here. He is
But
not,
with
by the
that
way.
one
Like he's
yeah.
yeah.
But with that mask specifically.
I don't keep a tally. Oh Christ!
Yes. The pain will soon go away, and I put
Okay.
it into
Yeah,
him.
he calms down a lot because it was morphine, right? Like a sedative. Yeah. So he calms
Insane
down.
overdose of morphine.
Yeah. We'll get to that. So yeah, he calms down. He's like, oh, thanks. Oof. Yeah. He's still with you. He's floating.
Floating. We
Mhm.
all float
Down
here.
here.
Okay, well, I'll sit and look at the primitive feel bandage to see if it's seeping through in such a. Okay, if it's too much, if it bleeds too much, if I need to change it and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and I guess we'll just hold his hand while he dies.
Okay. That's the thing you can do.
Okay, while you're holding his hand, I say, do you think that Clinton has been taken into the palace?
Why not? He kind of says, like, why not? Ah. To be fair, John, Thaddeus is completely unaware that this is an OD.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dramatic irony.
Mhm. So thus passes Quentin Spence, unmourned, and yeah, he dies.
Alas,
you're-
Yorick, I hardly knew him.
Yeah. Sic transit gloria mundi.
He kind of is a little bit baffled with
Yeah, Olivia's very
That
confused as well.
killed him. That shouldn't have.
Must have had an underlying condition.
Must be this allergic reaction.
Maybe did he lose a lot of blood?
That shouldn't be what killed him.
Shock, maybe.
Oh, allergic reaction to morphine. I've seen it. Could be this place. Morphine has an enhanced effect, perhaps.
That is definitely terrifying, though, that you can still die in this place.
It is.
Which means we need to find Clinton quickly.
Yes. To the castle.
To the castle palace of Castleness.
So you survey the horizon, and you do see the palace. It's on the other side of the lake, on the shore. You have quite some distance to go. So
Is
you
this
set
also
off.
like a Italian style castle, or is it like more like a Scottish style castle?
It's not a castle at all. It's more of a palace.
So more like a chateau.
Yeah, it's a chateau. It has several wings to it. It is done in a bunch of different styles, but it somehow works and enhances the whole. But it's quite far away. You set out to get there. Clinton.
Hello.
So you've been traveling, you've been tracing this shred of cloth for a bit. You did notice at some point that Thaddeus, Olivier weren't there anymore. You called out.
Yeah, I'll say I'm going to shout, but I'm going to keep running. I'm basically assuming that they've just fallen a bit far behind because, like I say, I'm quite tall. I've got quite a long stride. I've got pretty good strength constitution, so I'm assuming they've just not kept up.
Yep.
So I'll have shouted over my shoulder, but I'll have kept running. So I'm like, if we lose this guy with everything changing, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find him again. So I'm just going to keep running occasionally, like I say, shouting back over my shoulder, but keeping my eyes on the prize, so to speak.
Yep. So you keep running. Eventually, you don't see the glimpses anymore. Turning around, you don't see Thaddeus or Olivier calling out. You don't hear their responses.
Okay, in which case I'm going to keep sort of going in the direction I'm going, hoping to pick up the trail of this person, whoever they might be again, like glancing around as I pass side streets, stuff like that, but just basically keep on going in the direction I'm going in. Or like the last direction I saw the figure going in.
Yeah, the sort of general direction. So let me get my notes again. So yeah, you keep going, and you're going. You're climbing for a bit. It's just like on the street. I mean, not like actually climbing, but the street goes uphill for quite some time, and you've gained some altitude now. You're on one of the because the city is laid out sort of around on both sides, at least for a bit of this lake, and then there's an incline on both shores as well. You're on this side. You've been going up. You can see the city of Carcosa laid out beneath you, and you can see the great stain of shadow that is the lake, and the lake reflects the lights of the palace on the far shore. The structure is extensive, with 3 huge wings, each with towers, parapets, and spires. They're supported by buttresses, and you can see like soaring walkways between towers, and it's very grandiose.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be heading towards the palace, because, like I say, I'm sort of reaching back to the play we first saw, a large part of which took place in that sort of style of setting. So somehow, I don't yet quite understand how, but somehow this place is linked with the play. If it's a dream place, maybe the original playwright was inspired by a dream of this place. So I'm just going to be making a beeline for the palace, because I'm like, it's a big grandiose building. If you're like a cult who wants to sort of bring this place into the real world, I'm assuming you're going to do it from somewhere like there, because it seems like a central feature. So I'm just going straight for the palace.
Yep. On that note, you are on the other side of the lake. So you can see across the lake, there's the palace. You can see where it is, so you head that way after having climbed for a bit, and then you have the vision of the city, and you see the palace right there. It's like, I'll just head that way then, because you haven't seen or heard from these two, so just heading that way.
And I'm going to assume that, if they manage to locate this palace, they'll have pretty much the same thoughts as me. So I'm like, I'm already heading towards it, so like round the lake. I'll get there, and hopefully I can find out what's happened to those two when I get there, because this is a giant building. I'm going to assume if they've seen it, they'll probably head there as well.
Yeah. So you just some additional stuff about the palace. So 3 large wings, and then the wings themselves, it's kind of a square formation that's missing the 4th wall, which the 4th wall and the courtyard lined by these wings, it forms a sort of terrace and balcony like over the waters of the lake on the far side. So the 4th wall of the palace would be towards the lake, but instead it's this like massive overhanging balcony bit into the lake. So yeah, you decide, I'm gonna head that way. Maybe they will also find it, because it's kind of a landmark. Easy, maybe.
Yeah, it's the nearest we've seen to like a sort of landmark in this place. So
So the streets here up on this incline area, which seems to be like residential in nature. The streets here are small and they're quite twisted. They take a lot of turns. It's that sort of like old style organic city growth, which makes like in this place especially, it makes navigation really like frustrating. Um, so it's a modest part of town here. It's still kind of grandiose though. The walkways here, as opposed to some walkways that you've seen before, they're from cast iron, and there's wood carvings instead of like those golden carvings that you saw before. You go into several dead ends, and one of these dead ends, the most recent one, the alleyway is a constantly narrowing one. You keep going though, and then eventually it gets too narrow to move forward. So you turn back in frustration and head backwards through the narrow corridor, and you turn a corner into the larger street from where you originally entered, and there's a group of masked revelers who go by you. They're heading somewhere fairly rapidly, as we've seen before as well. They're all masked, and they're having a good time.
On an impulse, I'm going to just sort of like, not to like restrain them, I'm just going to put up my arm out to sort of like slow one of them down, and I'm just going to say, have you seen the yellow sign? So I remember that being mentioned in the play a lot in connection with Carcosa.
Yeah. Sorry.
And I know when we showed the yellow sign to like Roby, he like flipped out. So
yep. So you stop this, what seems to be a man, average height and build. You can see brown hair from like the side of his mask. He has broad forearms, thick cotton jerkin, trousers, heavy boots, that kind of thing. Looks like like a craftsman of some kind. And as you like reach out, he like takes your hand in a grip, and he's like, "Have you seen the yellow sign?" The man inclines his head and says, "And I am not." I'll put the token down. Here we go. Token, yep. So he has that sort of like monastic hairstyle going on. Yeah, so he stops and lifts his mask up. Let's see if I can figure out what the mask was. It should be down here, but do I have it? I don't think so. Let's say he had a fish head mask.
okay,
So he pulls the fish head up, so you can see his face.
I likewise flip my mask up.
Yeah. So he nods at you and says, "Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Are you enjoying the festival?"
Yes, I'm making my way to the palace.
Oh, the palace, that's a long way.
Yes, I can see that. Are there any quicker ways to get there? I'm running late.
Oh, I'm sure there's no great hurry as yet. The festival will be going on for quite a while. Now tell me though, you are invited to the palace. Are you attending the arrival of the stranger?
I say, yes, I'm interested to hear what news.
Oh, I'm hearing a lot about upheaval. Though I'm not really reactionary as such. I've got the mask. He takes the fish head mask off and like shows it to you. And I'm putting the mask on in honor, and I'm hoping this will turn out good. He sort of nods at you.
Yes, I'm interested to hear what other people have to say to the stranger, and to speak to him myself.
Oh, which faction do you favor?
I'll say, like you, I do not directly support any of the factions, but I believe their actions will have an impact on all of us. So I'm interested in hearing what they have to say. and I'm going to take a bit of a risk here, thinking back to the characters from the plan. I'm going to say, particularly the Queen.
Yes, well, the Queen is wise. So, were you born here?
No, I'm something of a stranger myself. I'm simply passing through.
All right.
Have you heard any word of the King?
The King? He looks puzzled.
Indeed. Then he has not appeared yet.
So I don't know what you're talking about, friend.
That's probably for the best. And I'm gonna sort of say that, and I'm gonna sort of like shake his hand, and I'm gonna say, well, I must be heading to the palace before he makes his appearance, and then I'm gonna, nod friendly, politely, and continue on my way. He's told me what I wanted to know.
My friend, I can be a guide to you. I still have some time before I need to go look after my business and safeguard it in event of any unpleasantness here.
Oh, splendid. Yes, if you can show me the way, a quicker way to the palace, I'll be most grateful.
It's... All right. It'll be a while.
Okay.
All right, so you head with Nas from the Haley residential district into the city. Now, Thaddeus, Olivier, you've had an extremely frustrating time. It's become, what happens at the amphitheater? Let's start with that. You have a dead man, and what do you do? Where do you go?
Presumably, we were just going to try and head straight to the palace.
Yeah.
All right, so you head into the city, leaving Quentin Spence dead in the ground. And you had an extremely frustrating time navigating
Well, we
anywhere.
don't want to insult him by giving him a Christian burial or anything, so it's best just to leave him.
It's against his
Exactly.
religion. So you wander into the city, and you encounter these obstacles involving just like getting across a building. The city doesn't help you in this regard at all. And you've multiple times, you've actually lost the door that you intended to go through just by virtue of like just glancing away for a bit, and it's a wall now.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you just need to go back again.
It's kind of like the labyrinth from the labyrinth.
Yep. So you're having a breather in this like inner courtyard. Like there's a bunch of buildings, and then this little courtyard in the like behind them, really, like all the big street areas are.
Okay. Speaking of that,
Yep.
Do we feel like fatigue? Do we feel hungry? Hunger?
Not as such, no.
Okay.
No, you've seen food though. Like if you wanted to, you could pick up.
Yeah,
some
it's
food.
just like we left extremely late at night and tread through a lot of snow. So just if you had those living feelings, living urges.
Yeah, you're getting a bit tired, I guess, is the thing.
This is getting annoying.
I suppose like you could have picked up like a loaf of bread, and then it's like just feeling tired, like let's sit and eat for a bit, maybe have a swig of the old bottle.
And well, it's more if you felt those urges, or
yeah. It's you're feeling more or less normal in that regard.
Okay.
I suppose we have been traveling a lot.
Yeah, there's been a lot of walking.
I think Clinton is right. He was driving by the heart of artists, and we are going about this in more logical way, I suppose. And that is why we're not getting anywhere.
Do you think you could hypnotize me to find him? Or however it works?
Well, I suppose it's worth a shot, yes. Giving again, we are clearly not operating under normal rules. So yes, let's try that. And he fiddles and gets out the chain with the ring. And
I take a little swig of the bottle first and rub my hands together. Okay, I can do this.
Mhm.
It's just Clinton. I know who he is.
yes, so and he does the whole spiel. Do you want me to roll or?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yep. So again, Olivier, you're gonna have a bonus die if you need to do like a feat of navigation around here.
Cute.
And he does need to do a feat of navigation.
Yeah. So you're in the courtyard having a bit of a sip, just resting your feet a bit because it's been a lot of walking and it's not really even ground as such. So you're in there, you do your hypnosis thing, and you hear footsteps, and from one of these alleyways come what looks to be Clinton because of the winter coat and this tunic wearing, boot having craftsperson looking guy. Clinton is wearing his mask. This local is wearing this fish head mask.
Clinton? He calls out and gets up. Is that you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Thaddeus, there you are. I wonder where you've got to.
Where in the world did you go to?
You disappeared. We thought you'd been taken.
No, I've just been trying to get to the palace up there. This fellow here is called Nos. He's a local. Offered to guide me to the palace.
Okay.
I assume
Yes.
the two of you had simply fallen behind and that we'd meet up again when we got there.
Yes,
Well, we thought you
maybe
were heading to the
we'll,
palace.
make more an effort of,
Keeping up.
yes, like in the back in the scouts. You were a scout too, right, Clinton? Keep up with your mates and all that.
I'm afraid my lifestyle wasn't exactly approved of in the Scouts, old boy.
Well, the good news is, says Nos, that everyone comes around here eventually.
There we are.
And gives a sort of a bow and says, I am not. My friend here asked to go to the palace. I cannot get you to the palace. However, I could guide you to the shore. Or rather, there's the route to the shore involves a museum. But you should be able to get to the shore from there. I cannot come. I need to tend to my business. But when you get to the shore itself, you should be able to go to the palace. Now, I will advise you, you cannot go by foot to the palace. You should arrive by boat. It is the thing to do.
Okay. Do you know where we can get a boat?
Yes, at the shore. I shall show you to the museum, perhaps.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I'd be interested to look at the museum.
If you can take us as far as you can, we'd be very grateful, Nos.
Good, my friends. So, which faction do you prefer? My bird and porcine friends?
As I've said, Nos, myself and my friends, we're not directly involved in any of the factions. We're just interested parties passing through.
Ah,
We come from a distant kingdom, but we're interested in what the Queen has to say. And have you heard the rumours about an alliance?
yes. Well, that is, I suppose, one of the things that everyone's so worked up about now. The prospect of Ithil allying with whoever this stranger represents. I suppose that's something for the queen to decide then, but there's no... The stranger has just arrived, and there's the celebration going on as a result of that.
Indeed, that's what we're interested in. Although, as I say, we're from a distant kingdom, potentially this alliance could have ramifications for other kingdoms. So we're just interested neutral parties.
Imagine that.
I'm looking
More
at Thaddeus
strangers,
in my mask,
same day.
and,
Sorry, what was that?
Sorry, I got over you. I was just gonna say, I look at Thaddeus in my mask. Just my eyes are saying, "What the fuck is he talking about?"
Right, let's go to this museum / shore and be done about it.
Yes, I'm afraid that the path goes to the museum gardens, if I remember correctly. Haven't been to the museum in a bit. No need for one such as I to go to the palace, you see. The palace only accepts or invites rather, the smartest, the most beautiful, the richest, the most noble.
Well, quite.
So those would be all the people who have been invited to the grand ball at the palace. For the rest of us, it's
Yes,
celebrations in the street.
Quite.
So I'll actually perk up when he says that, because I'm like, balls. Now that I can handle. Now you're talking.
Right then, my friends. One for the road. He gestures at like your stuff. It's like, yep, maybe you should have some for the road, and then we can go on.
Indeed. Let's continue.
Yep. He starts leading you away through the plazas and the sunken whatchamacallit. Let me get here.
I believe it's called a thingamadoo.
Yeah, the technical term is that. Yep. So you go through the plazas and follow the canals. At one point, he has you get on a gondola and he pushes it along for a bit.
Yeah.
And
That just kind of wishes he brought the playbook with him, but he I mean, this kind of reminds him of the events in the play, and he's not super happy about that.
yeah, there's a lot that lines up. Yep. So you follow this fairly open, like it's kind of a square that goes on, like a rectangular square, which kind of doubles as a park in parts. Lots of marble columns and whatnot, and you can see the black mirror of the lake some distance off, and the ever-present phantom of the palace off to the distance. And Nos gestures at this one particular sort of pathway off the main line. Says, there you should be able to find the sculpture museum and the path to the shore as well.
Thank you. Is there anything we can give you to thank you for your help? It is greatly appreciated.
Just being strangers and all, I wouldn't ask anything from visitors.
I'm going to offer him like a drink out. In fact, I'm going to take out one of my flasks. I'm just going to give him one of my flasks with like the good stuff in it.
And he shakes it, and when he hears liquid, then he's like,
Please, as a small token of our appreciation.
Well, I thank you, my friend. Hopefully your night at the palace is wonderful and all you would hope it would be.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Maybe we'll see you at the amphitheater at some point.
Perhaps. I do like a good play.
Don't we
As
all?
do we.
Farewell, my friends.
When he's out of earshot, I remark at Thaddeus. Hopefully they'll have cleared the body by that point.
How
Yes,
about
So,
body?
Clinton, you
What?
Yes, we while you were off finding a friend, we had a shootout with one of the cultists.
Well, I must say I vastly prefer my method of finding my way through the city.
I
Quite.
still don't quite understand how you disappeared like that, and you just claim you were
Well,
running along and we'd fallen behind.
Well, I don't fully understand myself, but from my perspective, I was just running after the figure. Unfortunately, I lost whoever it was. And it was then I saw a party of revellers passing by, stopped one of them. I threw a few lines and quotes from the play that myself and Thaddeus saw that this whole place seems to be linked to. And
Yes, about the play. Does this remind you of the events in that play, Clinton? You know, the Queen having a stranger.
yes, very much so. If I remember correctly, in the play, Ithil, which is I presume where we are, was at war with another kingdom called Alar, and the stranger appeared at court, and Queen Casilda was proposing an alliance with the stranger to strengthen her kingdom. And then it was when the king in yellow appeared shortly afterwards, and there was that comment that everyone was wearing a mask except the king, who
Yes.
wore no mask.
Do you suppose the stranger and the king in yellow are one of the same?
I don't believe so from the original play. I mean, I remember the part in the play when the stranger, everyone else took their mask off. The stranger kept his mask, or rather, according to the play, he wore no
So
mask.
the stranger would be an agent of the king in yellow.
I don't believe there was any
Or a mouthpiece.
there was any deliberately stated connection between them. I remember the stranger grabbed the Queen's arm and she collapsed quite dramatically, I thought, at the time. And that was when the king in yellow appeared wearing his tattered robes, holding forth a sword and an unlit torch. And he spoke with the Queen and the priest. I think his name was Natalba. And the various revellers that were stood around were giving commentary on what was happening. And there was the part when they said everyone had seen the sign, which I presume they mean the yellow sign. And it was shortly after that point when they said that Ithil, the kingdom, had now become Carcosa, and it seemed as though no one there was entirely human anymore. And that was when the king in yellow vanished.
Do you suppose the stranger will be played by Mr. Edwards or Mr. Roby?
I don't know. All I remember is afterwards is that the child in the play ran to the stranger who had collapsed, took him by the hand, and they both followed after the king in yellow. And that was when there was a little bit more dialogue. I forget the exact because of all the confusion that was going
So
on.
the child would follow the king in yellow.
The child and the stranger followed the king in yellow, as far as I'm aware. And there was a bit more dialogue, and it petered out. Do you remember that strange sort of distorted, like confusing sound at the end? And that was where the curtains closed. And then obviously the place erupted, as you remember, and that was it. But at that moment when the curtains fell, it was like the audience had been mesmerised, and suddenly the spell was broken, and various emotions broke out on the people who were watching the play. I mean,
I'm more concerned about who plays the part of the stranger. Yeah.
Didn't Nos say that the stranger just arrived?
Yes.
well, yes, I mean the events we're talking about now, the masked ball, that was Act 2, Scene 2 of the play. So there was quite some dialogue and scenes before then, of course.
So if the stranger just arrived,
Well, yes, if you remember correctly, Thaddeus, there was a room in the palace that the stranger was lodged in, and then they had those scenes where, like, one by one, each of the principal characters came to the stranger. There was Thale, who tried threatening him to get support for his claim to the throne. There was, I think it was Oot, I forget if I'm pronouncing it properly, or Oat, who tried getting support for his claim. Camilla didn't want anything but to listen, but instead ended up talking about the kingdom. And then Casilda seemed to be treating him as like an enemy or a threat, but then suggested an alliance or a marriage of convenience, and the child just stood there mutely and didn't say a damn thing. The stranger didn't say anything throughout the whole scene. It's quite striking, a masterpiece of theatre, I thought at the time. Now I'm not so sure.
Right. So, Nos mentioned something about factions and whether we were with a faction. So, do you think that's the whole Ithil Allah thing or something else?
Well, I wondered whether he was talking about, and assuming we're going on the play logic, the various principal characters in the play, because they each had their own goals. A number of them seemed to want the throne of Ithil, and all of them, for whatever reason, well, most of them, seemed to think that the stranger was key to fulfilling whatever their aims were. So I'm wondering whether he means Thael, Oat, whether they are the factions he's talking about. You know, these different sort of factions vying within Ithil.
Ah. Yes.
Maybe we can find out a bit more in the museum.
Indeed.
But
It's open.
we did have a shootout with one of the cultists who
Yes, well, you're missing out a very important part, Thaddeus, in that he was trying to shoot at us first, and you defended us very well. Too well.
I assumed that you hadn't just come across a poor fellow and decided to execute him. But
No,
thank you for confirming that.
He tried to shoot at us from behind a pillar and everything.
Okay, well, I suggest we carry on to the museum. As our friend said, we need to get to the shore and see if we can find a boat there. That's the only way to the palace.
right.
And since
But
the
my
stranger
point
has just arrived, we have a little time. But
But my point being, he says as they walk towards the shore, that maybe the cult isn't as uniform as we might have presumed earlier.
you may be right. But as far
This
as
could be if the factions they were talking about.
you may be correct, but as far as I can see, the only way we can actually find out is if we get to the palace, find out who is there, perhaps pick up on the talk of what's going on, and then at least we'll have some information to base a decision on. Whereas all we're going on at the minute is what I can remember about the play and the strange things we've seen in this place, which doesn't really give us a lot to go on. Whereas if we can get to the palace, get ourselves in there, get some facts about what's going on, maybe we can make a bit more of an educated decision. Because at the minute we're just guessing.
Still, the man did say something rather concerning. We asked him why he wasn't in the palace, because apparently everybody else is there at the moment, and he said because he was scared. He was scared of what was going to be the eventuality of everything.
Well, yes, I mean, as I said, in the play, Ithil, the kingdom ruled by Queen Casilda, which is, I presume, where we are, it becomes Carcosa at the close of the play, and that somehow it wasn't very clear in the play, but that somehow changes the inhabitants of Ithil. So if we assume, as we said earlier, that the cult are trying to bring Carcosa to, or Ithil, or whatever we want to call it, I don't really know, to our world, then perhaps it wouldn't have the same effects on the people in our world, and would somehow transfigure them in some way. But whatever it is they want to do, I've got to say I'm pretty damn well not keen on it.
No. Seems like it's not just our world that's under threat.
But whatever we decide to do, we need to get to the palace, get ourselves in there, find out what's going on, and then we can make some sort of decision. Because if this king is anything like the one in the play, it's clear we're not going to be able to stop the king. I mean, the way everyone reacted to him in the play, I suspect that this king is not entirely human.
Yes, but we could try to change the narrative, though.
Indeed, but to do so, we have to get to the palace. Come on, let's go.
Yes, okay.
So we go forward?
Yep, to the museum, try and make our way
Yep.
to the shore and get a boat.
Yep. So you're in the sort of garden walking area where you have been directed by Nos towards a certain direction, which you're fairly sure is still the direction you should go. And there's this.
But before
Yep.
we go down there, I'm going to take like some of my artist supplies. I don't know, whatever I've got handy, like chalk, charcoal, whatever. And I'm going to draw on each of our masks. I'm going to draw like the yellow sign on the forehead.
On the masks.
Yeah, on the masks. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yep. That's fine.
Because I'm thinking, like, if they're like, oh, only certain people can come into the palace, I'm hoping that might someone might mistakenly assume, oh, you know, they're part of this whole shenanigans going on, and it might get us past them. And I'll explain that to like my fellows as I'm sort of doing it, and I'll draw it on my own one and put my mask back on.
Yep. All right. You have masked up. You've got the yellow signs on display, like good cultists do.
Whistle.
Yeah, and the flutes hanging out.
We're toting whistles. We've got guns. We've got the yellow sign. We're ready.
Yeah, whistles out.
Well, yeah, because the dead guy had a whistle as well.
yeah.
So
You have an extra now,
yes,
because
but
you took one from Lister on the train.
But he obviously got in. So
Yeah. The Quentin Spence, the God rest his poor soul. He wasn't wearing a mask, and he had the whistle on.
yeah.
Okay, so there is a small white building, and there's a discreet sign that just sort of subduedly announces that this is the Sculpture Museum. All around, manicured gardens dotted with statuary of animals, men and women. There's a Medusa with the head of snake screaming at the night air, seemingly. There is this you haven't seen before. It is some kind of a, to your eyes, it might be some kind of a mix between a human and maybe a bat, but instead of like a human or a bat face, it has nothing on it. There's just a blank, smooth, completely devoid
the
of
vampire.
Yeah, it's not the one that you saw before. This is different in that it has a human-ish head with no facial features.
Does it? Given mainly mine and Olivier's sort of reading recently, does this look familiar at all?
I don't think so. No, given what you've read.
Okay.
But it's clearly some kind of a mythical creature. Humanoid, wings, a tail, no facial features at all, and it's sort of lovingly cradling what looks to be a human child, in like all like swaddled up. So it's just looking at it down. Well, looking because there's no face, but just the head. It's inclined downwards towards this human child in its arms, and then you can see there's a cypress tree. And then next to the cypress tree is a marble carving that is an exact replica of the living cypress tree next to it, to scale as well.
I think I'm just going to be trying to put all this weirdness out of my mind and just like focus on getting to the shore. Let's just get in the boat, get to the palace.
Yep. So as you
To the boat.
you go along this path through these gardens and whatnot, you eventually come to a stretch of it where there's a dozen sort of columns or pedestals, which have far more familiar creatures. Some might say vampiric creatures, which they are on these pedestals, sort of folded in with the wings wrapping around them. And as you walk the path, they're on either side of the path. You can. There's no melting clocks now. However, if you look at your clock, you might melt. So there, on either side of the path, there's let's say, what is it, like a dozen? Yeah, a dozen of these, and you can tell as you walk that 4 of these, 2 on each side, have eyes that move as you do, but they're all like motionless on the pedestal except for the eyes. And then you presume the others are statues of the same creature that you saw before.
I will see that.
Claire Melfa.
I will see the movement of their eyes as nature's way of telling me we should hurry through this place. And I will increase my pace to a rapid walk.
This is like, don't look them in the eye. Yeah, it's like, don't look it in the eye and just move on.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah. So as you hurry past these, one of these with the moving eyes like snaps a jaw, but doesn't like move. It's somehow restricted to be on top of the pedestal, but it's like snaps a jaw at you as you.
Pretty move up to a jog.
It's like just increase the speed of it. Yeah, so you go further. There's this small building, like I said, small white building. You enter, simple door, not locked. You enter. There's a staircase that goes down, fairly like almost as wide as the building itself. Seems to be going down to presumably a larger area of the building. So down the stairs, as you do, because you're in a hurry to not be with these vampiric statues outside. And yeah, you come upon what seems to be exhibition floors. They're like much larger in scope than the little sort of white hut almost that you descended through. Yeah, vast exhibition floors, open spaces in the way that museums usually have, a lot of room to walk between exhibits. You can see no other visitors really, and you can tell there's several different exhibition areas separated by walls. Yeah, but there's those massive museum style sort of archways, not really doors even, just like big places where you can go to the next exhibition floor area, and you can see hundreds of objects from across like all history. So like just millennia ago, there's some bones on display, and then like just bits and pieces from all places in history. The one that you come to seems to have a bunch of cultural objects, and you figure in the middle there's two large city dioramas. You can there's multiple ways, let's say 3 ways out, because you descended from the stairs. You're in this area now. There's one on the left, one on the right.
I'll probably actually slow down a little bit as we're going through it, because obviously I'm very interested in art and art history and stuff like that, so I probably will like have a bit of a closer look at some of the. Now we're past like the demon statues. Mm-hmm. I'll probably like slow down to like a sort of brisk walk and sort of like be looking at these sort of exhibits as we're heading past. You know, because like you said, they're from all periods of history, so this will be absolutely fascinating to Clinton.
Yep.
And particularly the dioramas. Do they look like any cities I recognise?
Yeah. Or? Yeah, it looks kind of familiar, and eventually you do find the small plaque. I personally find it always to be a little bit too small somewhere on the side, but
yeah.
You find the plaque to tell you what it is, and it reads New York City, 1929. There's 2 of these exhibits. This is the first one that you looked at.
So I'll sort of look at that and I'll be like, oh.
And it seems it's in extreme detail. You don't really know what it's made of, but it's whoever made it has achieved an incredible level of detail on it. It seems to be contemporary as far as you know.
Curious, and then I'm going to move on to the next one and see if I can find like a similar plaque on the next one.
Yeah, and please, by the way, Olivier and Thaddeus, if you want to do stuff, just jump in. Or jump on the diorama.
What year was it when we left Earth?
Were we in 1928?
When we first started, we were in 1928. Yes.
Yeah, we're still there.
December.
And did this say New York?
29.
Yeah, 29.
So we're in the future.
So Olivier is dumbfounded.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're all figuring out like Wait, it was 28, right? And Clinton is looking at the next diorama.
I'm looking at plaques too to see if they're 1981 or something like that.
They must have just got the 9 the wrong way around. It must be a 6. But even then, New York City, they know what this is.
The next diorama again says
we can go by Earth logic anymore.
Yeah.
Next plaque says New York City again, but the year is 2030.
Okay, so
and it looks different.
I was going to say what I'm going to do is because obviously we know that cities change like over time, but there tends to be like certain, normally like quite sort of big, like monumental style buildings that sort of tend to like be carried over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for buildings that are on the two dioramas, just to like see if they look like that this might have been the same place but at different periods of time, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, it looks very much the same. Some of the skyscrapers much taller than in the 29 version, but still in the same place. The style, I think, would be, because it's 2030, it's a little bit more futuristic, so to speak, more modern, I guess, to us now in 2020. So a lot more modern to your eyes, just like sci-fi, I guess, because that's you're from 28, so it looks very advanced. All the little details seem kind of, you don't exactly know what it is. You think there's you can see a bunch of the details that you would expect, and you can see in the 29 version on like a street, just like the regular stuff. All the lamps are different. You can parse all of the technological development that's gone on, so it does look very different. But you can tell from the placement of the tall buildings, especially on some of the landmarks as well, and the topography of the place. You think it's the same area that it depicts.
So I'll say to my fellows, I'm like, these places definitely look as though they're the same place, just different times. These dioramas, are they like under glass or anything? Would you be able to like reach out and touch them?
Yeah, you could reach in and like twist the top off a building.
Yeah, well, what I'm thinking is, on the diorama, are there like small things like cars and stuff?
Yeah,
like that?
yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read on the 20, because obviously we've got cars in 28. And I'm going to assume, I don't know, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, that like the cars in 29 aren't sort of like, oh my god, it's a future hover car.
No.
But I'm assuming the cars in like 2030 look a lot different.
Yeah, they do.
So
yeah,
I'm gonna reach down and just like see if I can see if I can lift one of the little cars up, the 2030 version, and I'm gonna have a look at it, and I'll sort of hold it out for the others. And I'm like, well, it looks like it's some sort of automobile, but look at the shape of it.
Yeah, it's sleek. It looks like it doesn't have an engine, to your understanding, because its engines are big, and this is like flat and smooth, and there's no place to put the engines in.
It's so small, and it almost looks like a piece of sculpture rather than a vehicle. But look, here I'm assuming they've still got wheels. Here's the wheels. It's clearly some sort of vehicle, but it's like nothing I've ever seen before.
I'll try to pick up a car too. And can you turn the wheels on the bus?
Yeah, they turn if you like put your finger on it.
Yeah, I'll put it down. And can you open the door and stuff like that?
That gets into like you're using your fingernails to but
maybe
it works.
Maybe in the future it's a little bit different. Maybe they use pedals, or it's
well, look at this, and he holds the little tiny car with the open door. There's no tiny little guy inside or something.
No, you can't see people on these.
Well, look, I mean, this is fascinating. Perhaps we should look at it in more detail later. But I think
it is. I'll grab a handful of cars and put it in my pocket.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna drop the one I'm holding into my pocket as well. Why not?
Yeah.
And but I think we should press on.
Yeah. So this is the first time I've said this in a Cthulhu game. You now have, each of you, some cars from 2030 in your pocket.
And we're gonna use them somehow. I know it.
Yeah. I think so. Okay.
Actually, do you know what? If there's any other like little like things that we could potentially nick one of, I'm just gonna grab a handful and chuck them in my pocket as well.
Yeah, just take some this and that.
Because in my mind, I'm thinking, do you know what? If this actually is from the future, if we get back home and we've still got these and they exist in our world, we could potentially like go to some like manufacturers and people and be like, I've got this idea. And I'm thinking, like give like England and the Empire like a a boost in its technology. You know, I mean,
For
I mean,
king and country.
exactly. I mean, at least we might salvage something of benefit to mankind from this whole like horrendous nightmare we're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when in Carcosa, fill your pockets.
Yeah.
Isn't
As the
that
old
what they
saying
say?
goes.
Yeah. That's what you do in Carcosa. Like that's all the advertisements say.
Well, I'll take some stuff from the 29 as well.
Yep.
So after our looting
Mm-hmm.
thing,
You've done the murder. Now you've done the looting.
yeah, we are
All we're
now
missing is the dragon.
thing.
We'll get to
we
that.
are real adventurers now.
Mm-hmm.
A real boy.
Yeah, I like it. That is playing with the tiny cars. Like I'm a real boy now.
Yeah.
You will make me lots of money.
So yeah, you're done with this exhibition area and head forward, I presume.
To the boats.
Yeah. So let's say you go to the left. There's a corridor lined on both walls with whistles, and there's plaques on like the close proximity of each, which sort of outline like where is this from. They're all in different styles, like very distinctive carving styles. You can pick out there's whistles from West Africa, there's Italy over here, there's India, and then some lesser known places. You're not sure, maybe these places are in Asia, but there's whistles from Caliphase, there's Sarkomand, there's Seleno, and Hyades.
But whistles, like in many different types of
Yeah.
whistle. Or...
Yeah, many different sizes and shapes of whistles.
Do they say what the whistles do, or is it like a caption
No,
thing?
no, they don't. They're all made from the same material, though.
I'm just imagining Olivier and I going down the line like,
It's like,
Is it this space material?
it sure looks like it. This sort of like black, sort of like ebon wood type thing.
Are there any that look exactly like ours?
I'm gonna give that a roll.
More sort of rare.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, you can
Okay.
see England, 1928, and there's a whistle just like yours.
Are there any of the other whistles that look, I guess, better than the whistle I have? I will exchange it.
For sure, some of the depending on what
Wow.
better means, depending on if you are like a English patriot and I like it a certain way, and then there's like this exotic whistle, maybe that's not to your taste, but there's like very intricately carved and ornamental whistles on display here from all around the world.
I'll have the one that says Hyades then. I'll have that.
Yeah, I'll take the pimped up whistle.
The pimp whistle.
+1 pimpiness.
So where do you want to take are you taking one, that is?
Yes.
Where is your whistle coming from?
Are there any labelled Carcosa?
No. That would be gauche.
I'll take one from, I don't know, Australian whistles.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll take one of those.
It's a big didgeridoo.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's a longer, like it's probably one of the longest.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, I'll put my weird British.
It's almost like a straight horn, I think. Just given that it's a whistle, but it's like a
Yeah.
long. Yeah.
Cool. I'll put my Australian whistle.
I suppose Olivia would be more inclined to go for a French one.
Right. Okay.
So he
So
looks for the one shaped like cheese.
there's just a wheel on the wall. No, I think
Shaped like a croissant.
Yeah,
Yes.
a flute,
mm,
baguette.
Or
yeah, it's not a baguette whistle. Like a baguette whistle doesn't exist.
It does now.
That is one of the things that is. There's a space next to the French whistle. Next to it is there is no baguette whistle.
The baguette whistle is a lie.
I think it's probably a case of a floral thing, which has lilies on it, carved.
Yeah. Add only one whistle of each.
Yeah.
It's not an onion. Oh my god. It is intricate. I'll take the French whistle and replace it.
Yeah. So now we're all double whistles. Or in case did you take the? Well, I suppose it doesn't really matter at this point because you have whistles at the wazoo or kazoo.
To be honest, I pretty much went for
the whistle.
I pretty much went for the Hyades one because I was like, I know where all these countries are from. I do not recognise that name.
Yeah, I like that we all just I'm not happy with the whistle I have.
I need a fancier cult whistle.
Yeah.
That's the thing I want.
Priorities.
I think then we're just going to press on.
You gotta look good when you're saving the world.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So now we're all loaded up on loot. Let's see. Where were we? Okay. So you proceed along this corridor of the whistle display, and you come upon a small sort of side room, really. There's one on each side. There's on the left side, there is what looks to be almost like a clothing rack type deal. And there's a dozen white robes arranged on mannequins. And on each of these robes on the front, you can tell there's the yellow sign. However, all the robes are folded in that it's not all visible at the time. So it's 1/3 of it is lost in the folds. And then on the opposite side of this corridor with the robes on this side in the sort of alcove, on this side there's an alcove with a marble life-sized exact copy of Clinton on a short sort of dais.
Well, what is he doing?
It's just standing. It's probably like this, looking thoughtful.
I just stared at it.
Clinton, why is that there of you?
Oh, I'm glad you're asking me that because I happen to have the answer. How the hell should I know?
I just wondered if you'd.
Well, you're asking me whether I ever posed for a sculptor in a strange dream city full of cult whistles. No, of course I bloody didn't.
All right.
However, I've got to admit it's a good likeness. They really got my best side. I'm going to say it. And I'm going to go up, obviously as an artist myself. Much as I'm freaked out by this, I'm also quite interested because I'm like, it's a valid question Olivia was asking. How did this get here? And it does look to be very good. So I'm going to be like,
he's going to take the opportunity to check out his own bum.
That's England's ass.
Do you think there are little statues of us as well?
Perhaps. Who knows? And I'm going to be sort of looking around the statue, and I'm basically trying to. In reality, I'm trying to check whether there's any differences between the statue and my actual self, because I know a lot of statues are sort of slightly idealized versions of the subject, but I'm trying to assess if this is an exact replica of me or whether it's just a statue made to look a bit like me.
You don't think you have the suit that it's wearing? but as far as your features and your body go, you think it's pretty dead on.
They've definitely captured me. I don't remember wearing an outfit like that before, but
No,
it's a
artistic
striking
freedom.
likeness.
I'll take one
It's
of the.
it's a license, old boy, artistic license.
I'll take one of the ropes. I won't put it on. I'll just keep it under my arm for now.
Yeah, because you need that with your yellow sign, your cult whistle collection, and now you have the rope.
To be fair, I'm just gonna hang my outer clothes up on this thing, chuck a robe on, because I'm like, we've already got the masks, we've already got the whistles, we may as well get the full ensemble.
Yeah.
Besides,
experience.
Besides,
right.
white is my colour.
I'll put on the
It
rope
is.
too.
Yes.
All right, so we have a. Now you're finally free of the fairly warm clothing for this climate, so we're all robed up. Sorry, I missed Olivier. Are you also robing up?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But as I do, I think, but normally when you're wearing white, it's if a woman is getting married or well, I suppose a confirmation or baptism, it's all purification.
Well, you see, I've always thought, Olivier, the challenge in the real art in wearing white is obviously it gets dirty so easily, and obviously with the hectic lifestyle I lead in London, it's quite the back in France. Myself and the people I used to go around with, we used to have a bit of a game where we'd all wear white clothing, and the aim was to go out and have a thoroughly debauched time, and yet maintain the cleanliness of your vestments. A bit of extra excitement, just a little thing we used to do,
And how did that work out?
Well, on some nights I maintained a fairly respectable average, but like I say, white clothes are so easy to get dirty.
Yes.
Anyway, let's go. Now we've got like yellow sign masks and yellow sign robes, and like
And the whistles.
evil whistles. And I've apparently been immortalised in some weird dream city.
So
I might take. I think I can do like a quick sketch of the statue. Actually,
yeah.
Fair play to the craftsman.
Wow.
Wow.
Good times.
I never claimed not to be vain, Olivier. You should know me better than that.
So we proceed down. You pass more exhibits, of course. I think there's probably like thematic rooms as well. So there's like ancient Germania. So you have all these like pottery shards. There's corroded iron tools and whatnot on display, and there's like sort of like ancient displays of artifacts, archaeological displays, that kind of thing. You move through these exhibits, and you note that there's a study off to one side, and stopping to check what this particular exhibit is about, you note this study room, which the door is entirely open, just like completely open, and there is inside, of course, it is actually a study. So there's a bunch of bookshelves, or sort of paraphernalia you would have in a sort of learned study. You have the massive writing/working desk there, large, comfortable, presumably at least imposing chair, which is faced away from the door, so you can see the chair, the massive table behind it, and you can see and also hear that there's someone sitting at the desk, because you can hear this very slight which you figure out with after a while is that snoring?
I don't know about you fellas, but I'm thinking whoever's in there, we should probably not wake them up and continue past, given that we've robbed a couple of the exhibits.
Quite. Good point.
But if they know how to access the boats. we
I'm
might have to.
relatively new to this life of crime.
You can hear that sort of if you're familiar with how that tends to work. If someone's sleeping and they're probably, at least I personally associated with some kind of like dream activity going on, where the breathing gets sort of more agitated,
Oh, and
like gradually. Yeah, so like it starts out as the sort of like drone, and then it turns into like more rapid in pace, and then at some point there's that like where you kind of pop away from whatever it was.
yeah, I think we're probably best to just like move past and let sleeping curators lie, as the old saying goes.
Yeah, and I mentioned that because you can hear it happening in the study.
Yeah, I'm hoping by the time he awakes, I'll have long strode my way past his.
Yep. All right, so you proceed down the line of exhibits, and I would ask at this point, because this is us doing a little bit of navigation here in the old museum. Clinton, Olivier, both of you have been specifically prepared with arcane rituals for
Indeed.
this purpose. Would you like to make a roll?
What sort of roll would you like?
You're doing. I would like for you to make a power roll.
Both of us make a power roll. Okay.
Hard success.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Great.
We are
That's
so in tune
fantastic.
with this place, it's almost uncanny.
Dun, dun, dun. So you proceed down through innumerable halls. Eventually, you figure out, let's just take one of these like side staircases and just go down. So you go down a level, and you find your way past a whole bunch of these. I want to say like the exhibits at the lower level get more bizarre. Like you can't really tell anymore. Like, is this from Earth? Like I can't tell really. And then there's a bunch of geological displays as well of different kinds of rock and soil. And you find your way out of the museum itself. And there's a stretch, sort of like if you've seen Boardwalk Empire with the Atlantic City boardwalk on the sort of space between the museum and the shore itself. There's that boardwalk area. You come up on the boardwalk, you can see there's a small harbor with piers and quays, and you can see these small boats by the dozen tied up to the piers and whatnot. And there's a man at the boardwalk railing, seemingly enjoying a mug of something. Let's just check what do we have here in the old notes. So it's a man with sort of dirty blonde hair, wearing black trousers, white shirt, sipping from a mug, looking at the black mirror of the lake at the twin sunset.
Okay, so I'm just going to walk towards the man and say, excuse me, we need to book passage on a boat to the palace.
So the man turns around, and you've seen him before. It is quite different though now. It is indeed Alexander Roby. He holds in his hand what seems to be, from the smell, a mug of coffee, and he has this neat white pressed shirt on, black slacks, nice shoes, and he is composed. He's not under the influence, which is all you've seen him be. And he gives you a slight smile, and you can tell from his eyes he's a little bit tired. He turns to look at you as you hail him, and he like raises his eyebrow and he says, "Well, I have to say I'm most pleased by this unexpected pleasure, Mr. Hardy." And like puts his cup on the
I'm
railing.
going to be quite surprised he's recognised me with the mask on, but I'll then flip the mask up since he's obviously made me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll wager you're not as surprised as I am.
Well, that would be relative, I think, but I'm pleased nonetheless. Hopefully, you are as well. I see you're doing well.
Yes, and you're looking a good deal better than the last time we saw you.
I regret deeply. You as well, Doctor. I regret that I haven't been able to greet you properly before. Though I hope you will forgive me for that.
Yes,
He sort of like brushes his shirt.
quite away from us last, but I suppose how do you do?
What do you do, Doctor? Can I treat you to? I have beverages. I'm enjoying my evening mug.
If you have another coffee, I wouldn't say no to a small drink.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
Most gracious of you, Mr. Roby.
Yep. So goes to this little table that he has set up here. There's a bottle of red wine and what is it? The fucking a thing of coffee, a pot of coffee.
Yeah.
And some glasses and mugs. So he's like, so he pours out coffees because he's having some and he's offering them to you.
Yeah, I'll have a swig of the coffee, and then as we sort of, I'll just take like a little sip of it. Then as we're drinking, I'll say, as I've said there, Mr. Roby, we need to charter a boat to get to the palace. Do you have any idea where we might perform such a transaction?
You're heading to the palace, is that it?
Indeed.
For a specific reason, I presume? You have some business at the palace?
I'm interested to hear what the stranger has to say.
Oh, I wouldn't worry about that.
I'm not worried, I'm interested.
Mm.
I presume the king has not appeared yet.
Well, now this, I think, requires something else. And he puts down his coffee and he pours a wine for himself, takes a sip, puts it on the railing. There's two things here. The first one being that the king is not a part of this place, so the king will never appear as such, because, as you might know, though I will highlight it nonetheless, the king is heralded by the stranger who has arrived at the palace, as you will no doubt have heard, given that you have come this far already into the city. Now, the stranger has arrived, and that state will last forever. This place doesn't move in that way. The king will never arrive, and they will celebrate the arrival of the stranger forever. That is the state of things.
How did you manage to get here?
Oh, I am quite... My relationship with this place is quite long. I was always a bit of a dreamer. Didn't really endear me to the old family. bless them. And he takes a bit of drink.
I'll have a swig of the coffee and say, yes, we've just come through the museum. That was quite an accurate and pleasing rendition of myself there in marble.
Ah, yes, it is a collection of notable things, I find. I spend a lot of my time there, musing, witnessing history, that sort of thing.
The museum is from your dreams.
Your question betrays your understanding of the matter, so I will try and explain it to you in terms that you would understand. So I am here by way of knowledge and dreams. However, this place is not a dream. This is real. And,
I was thinking more in terms of if Mr. Edwards helped you
why, yes.
leave
Yes.
St. Agnes.
Oh, yes.
Would he be here as well?
Yes, we are all here. It is quite an undertaking. I could not have done this myself. So, yes, Mr. Edwards, being quite the adherent of certain principles himself, he is also present, and I am to an extent grateful. He is doing what makes him content, and I presume that is, and I most certainly am satisfied myself. Now, is the city to your liking? Because I'm very content here.
It is
Very pretty.
Yes. So now we have you because, as you no doubt figured out by now, we had been sort of trailing after your adventures in or on Earth, I should say.
Really? He seems genuinely surprised.
We have traveled a long way to find you, yes.
Would you mind explaining the triggering event that sent you off to St. Agnes?
I would rather not. It's an event of some regret, and I did not come to this place to regret.
No.
Well, but perhaps we could leave the past in the past for a moment. What do you and your companions intend to do now you've got to this fabulous place? And I'll say that with sort of genuine feeling, because I'm like, if you remove the pant-wetting terror of the place, it's actually quite beautiful. So, and obviously I do appreciate it from an artistic point of view. So I'd say, now you're here, what do you and your companions intend to do? As you say, this place never changes.
Well, that is just it, Mr. Hardy. You have it by the throat, so to speak. I am here because I wanted to be here. This is, I presume, given the way that you phrased these things, you are familiar with some of the, let's say, corpus of learning about this place. I am most content here. There is nothing in England for me.
And your companions, they are of a similar mind. They just wish to dwell here.
Honestly, I wouldn't know, and call me callous, but I pay very little mind to that. Edwards has certain, well, his mind is yearning for things that I think he will not find here, whereas I come to this shore willing and open to all that this place is, and I think he might want something different, though I do not know. But we came here together, and I do believe that he is attending and he's sort of like waves his hand around a bit, reaches for words. Probably at the palace, feasting with the rest of the city's notables, all the people with the money and the beauty and whatnot.
What
Well,
about your the others, Corey and Gristly? Are they here as well? Corey.
I do not remember seeing Gresty, though. I honestly, I know the man by name alone. Could not tell you in all honesty. Now, Quarry, Malcolm has been distant from, well, he has never been on these shores, but he has also been absent of the English shores for some time now, I believe.
well, I'll certainly admit I can definitely see the attraction of this place, Mr. Roby, the artistic merit of it alone, the wonderful vistas here. I can certainly see the attraction. With any luck, though, we'll have a chance to speak to Edwards and ask him what his plans are when we get to the palace.
What is your interest with Edwards?
Rather like yourself, we've sort of followed what you've been doing with interest, and it's led us to this fantastic cool place. So we'd quite like to have a chat with him, like we're doing now. Just find out what he's doing, what his plans are, whether he's planning to stay here. Nothing.
Well, it is truly, if I had to guess, and please don't take my word as the absolute gospel. I wouldn't want you to prosecute Edwards based on what I thought
not.
he was.
That's why we want to speak to him directly, you see.
Yes, quite. I think we're all in the know here. He gestures at your robes.
Well, to be frank, for a while I believed Mr. Edwards was after you, perhaps to try to silence you.
No, he. This is my doing, you see. And he motions with the wine glass towards the lake. I dreamed up the path here, and Edwards did not. That is as simple as that. And we
So he
gathered
followed
our
you.
wiles, and we opened the pathway according to my creation. And to be truthful, you said you had followed in our footsteps in England. Given that you are here, I will all credit to you. You are resourceful, to say the least. He chuckles a bit. You will be familiar with what this place is, what all is involved. You have looked into what I have done previously. That much is clear. I think what Edwards is. I do not know if we got what we wanted, but what we have done before, he probably wants to do again. He is insistent on things, much like a small dog that will not let go, even if hanging on is not to his benefit anymore. I think Edwards, given that we are here now, given what we tried before, he probably wants to call upon the king, but he has the context all wrong. He wanted to bring the king to Earth, which was not wise and did not end well. Maybe he wanted the same here. However, obviously, I think he will have been disappointed. That is not the context for this.
Do you know of his reasons to wanting to do that?
Well, we are all true believers after a fashion.
But as you yourself said, it's not a good idea.
Well, I think that Edwards has his reasons. He's reaching for the stars in his own way. He looks for what he yearns for, much as I did, and now I am here. I think, if anything, he will find disappointment. In any way, even if he was foolish enough to try something again, the king would not arrive here. This is the wrong context for the king. It would be something else, and there would be no rationality to it. Did you know we are still on Earth in a way? So if with that as well, it doesn't work. The king is no, it wouldn't work. He says and takes a bit of wine.
Well then, pleasant as this has been, and it's a pleasure to see you looking more like yourself, Mr. Roby. I think we really need to get about chartering one of these boats to the palace. As I say, nothing untoward. We just wish to have a word with Mr.
Hang on.
Edwards.
If you dreamed up this place,
Mm-hmm.
why did you invite the others?
It is not enough for me to work at this. We need the others as well to open the way. And we have.
Indeed, most impressive.
So what happens now? The way remains open? I mean, you're here. Why leave the door open?
There is a certain movement of the celestial spheres which it is my intent that the door close eventually. I wouldn't want anyone here that doesn't want to be here. That is not my intent. I wish none of this upon anyone who doesn't want it.
We had a unfortunate run-in with one of Edward's friends,
Really?
and
You weren't at the palace though.
no, this was he also wasn't at the palace, but unfortunately he shot at us, and we were forced to return fire, killing him. Instead, gun exchange.
That is most unfortunate. Do you know who he was?
I mean, I do, but do Thaddeus?
Yeah, Thaddeus doesn't know.
No.
All right, so what was he do? Do you know why he was shooting you?
He believed we were monsters. The question is, if this is this Carcosa or is it the other place?
Yes.
Still.
Yes, this is Carcosa now. The stranger has arrived. He nods.
Okay.
Who is the stranger? Is it Edwards?
Sorry, what was that?
Is the stranger Edwards?
No, Edwards is Edwards is just Edwards. It's Montague. The stranger is an element of this place and also Hastur. Edwards is a man.
But
Much like
don't you? I presume you do wish for the king to come, but this is not the right place.
no, I would not. I would not wish the king to. The king couldn't arrive here, and if Hastur arrived here, that would be devastating. for everyone involved, but I would not wish that. I care very little about that.
Hmm. I know it troubles you, but I do want to talk about your sister.
Yeah.
Who killed her?
Well, I confessed to the police.
I know.
I called forth a being of Hostor. It is something I regret. I should not have. I wasn't worthy enough at the time.
This would be a big winged beast with claws and.
Yes, it is. It is Biaki. They are beings that you saw when you entered.
See. What holds this place together? Is it the queen? Whom you said you opened the path here. Are you also
Yes.
the one who makes it manifest?
I built this with the help of the others, and before the spheres move, I am the lodestone, I suppose you would call it. He chuckles a bit.
Just the lodestone, not the architect.
Well, both, I guess, if you wanted to put in those terms. Though I hasten to remind you that I did not build this place. I merely built it on Earth.
Was what the mount was for?
Sorry?
I can't remember what it's called now. That that mound we went up to.
Springer Mound.
Springer Mound. So is that where you started building on Earth?
That is where we had our first abortive and, in retrospect, incredibly ill-advised attempt to bring Hostur to Earth. I'm glad that we have left all that nonsense behind us.
Yes. Well, I do apologize, and I draw my pistol and shoot him.
Okay. He's just there, really. He's having his wine.
Yeah.
Where do you shoot him?
Oh, I get shot in the head.
Yeah, I mean he's just drinking wine. Yeah, so you just pull the gun, shoot him in the head.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. So the shot echoes across the shore. Of course, the sound carries across the water as well. And there's a spray of blood and brain is tilted back by the shot and falls against the rail of the boardwalk, falling onto the little table, spilling coffee and wine and brain matter as he lays on the boardwalk, dead.
I'm going to sort of rush to sort of cradle him, because although the idea would like sort of cross my mind as well, I'm just going to sort of like be holding over like, Thaddeus, what are you doing?
He's kind of standing there, kind of like with the smoking gun, and halfway expecting the sky to fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you
and
hold
I
the gun.
assume I need to take a sanity hit for outright murder.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers here at the moment, but let's deal with that down the line.
So
One
he'll just
count of murder.
So he'll just stand there, kind of like,
Thaddeus, what have you done?
it seemed, and he lowers the pistol. It seemed like the right thing to do.
And I'm obviously futilely, because you said this guy's dead, but I'm not a medical person, so I'm going to be like trying to do that thing where you're trying to like cover the wound, but obviously like the back of his head's been like detonated, So I'm just sort of like going like that, and there's blood running over my
His
hands. And
brains
stuff
are all
like that.
over the shore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So obviously,
See-
I know it's futile, but I'm still trying because I'm. I mean, I knew Thaddeus was a bit of a sort of drug taking, laissez-faire sort of MD, you know, a bit of cheeky cocaine in the morning. But like, I've never just seen him like callously pull out. I've gone to be like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, brap, and just like take someone out, like shooting him in the head. So I'm looking absolutely fucking horrified.
I mean, he doesn't feel good about it, but I mean,
Good.
this was execution. This wasn't like returning fire or anything.
Mhm.
Yeah. So he looks a little pale, and kind of in his mind gets some flashbacks to the war, but kind of like blinks and I guess sucks it up.
Whereas I'm sort of down like cradling Roby, like blood all over like my white robes and fucking horrible. Just like looking absolutely horrified at Thaddeus. Probably like taking some wee sanity roll myself further down the line as my brother-in-law was just like that's you dealt with, Roby. I know we've been trying to track you down for like I was like, I thought we were just going to talk to him when we found him, Thaddeus. I never would have if I'd. And I'm just sort of like babbling a bit because I'm like so fucking shocked and horrified by this.
It does seem like a waste. He knew so much, and he could have been useful for us, Thaddeus. And he looked redeemed.
Yes. As I said, it seemed like the right thing to do. He seemed.
How?
There doesn't appear to be a right or wrong in this place.
I don't know, Clinton. This place runs on strange logic. Oh, maybe it's getting to me. I don't know. This he takes off the mask and throws it in the canal.
You were probably going to need that as well.
Although that does make it seem double weird, the fact that he just walked up with this pig mask that's like, and then shot a guy in the face.
I like that indie game, Miami something.
Yeah,
Oh,
Hotline Miami.
Yeah.
In fact, he's like, oh yeah, it's too weird for me to execute someone in a pig mask. There we go. It's far better now. I'm a bristled mustached gentleman.
Yeah, with the white cult robe on.
He seemed, I don't know. He seemed like he was the linchpin holding this place together. I hope to dispel the nightmare.
So as you're dealing with,
I think it's more for murder.
yeah,
This is just seeing one.
Most horrid.
so you're at the boardwalk. You have Roby's body. You have the spilled coffee, the wine, Roby's dead body. All of these scents mixing up together into a fairly unwholesome.
Yeah, it's not gonna be nice.
No, and across the lake, on the other side, you see the palace all lit up by the. Well, there's the backdrop of the two setting suns as well, and the courtyard, which is really a balcony above the water on the far shore. You can see there's now glancing at it in sort of like is something happening? He seemed like a linchpin of some kind. Is the sky falling? What's going on? You see the stars twinkling above, and you can for the first time see that there are thousands and thousands, presumably of Bayaki, which are streaming into the courtyard of the palace, and they just settle this way and that, just a continuous stream from the black night sky, or in black twilight sky, I guess. And yeah, they stream in their hundreds and thousands to the courtyard, and there is, I think, there's some commotion. There's some lights happening, which is I mean, like torches and whatnot. There's a frantic light movement going on at the balcony of the palace, and while you're sort of figuring out, like, okay, or dealing with the shock rather. Let me get to my notes here. Where is it?
Do you actually have notes if one of the PCs shoots?
Yeah, I do.
I was more concerned about us killing Bacon so early on.
Yeah, well, that is accounted for as well.
Okay.
So this is just the thing I will then prep going forward as well. Like, I introduce someone who is like, yes, I am a person who is not trying to murder you. And it's like, "Brep." So, you, let's see, where is it? I didn't expect to get to this part of the notes quite yet, but here we are. Okay. So here we go. So
Apocalypse Now?
yeah. So thousands of these Bayaki streaming into the courtyard, and then they all are expelled in a giant wave. They kick off, fly into the sky as a thick black plague coming off the courtyard, and everything seems to slow down. And there's this feeling of pressure and resistance, like you were underwater. So like your ears start feeling the pressure, and maybe there's some popping as well in there. And out beyond the shore on the lake, there's something forming. There's a looming presence there, and it's blotting out the stars and the suns as well. And I need to know what each of you are doing right now.
Being in shock?
Yeah, I either just stock still, like glued to the ground in shock, or potentially running back to the museum, like to find some sort of shelter or cover.
Okay, so which one of those?
Yeah. Okay, museum.
Okay, so you get the your ears start feeling the pressure. You're in shock. You bolt towards the museum. Yep. Okay. Clinton.
Okay, I'm obviously still cradling the body of Alex Roby. I know it's probably not going to work, but I'm in the same way as I affected a minor change on the stone. I'm desperately, which probably won't work because I'm panicked, scared as shit, trying to see if I can somehow help Roby, because I'm like, oh, the only thin thread I'm holding on to that's stopping me from like losing my shit completely is that like this is a dream world, it works in a dream logic, so I'm trying to see if there's anything I can do for him, whether I can effect some change so he's only like injured rather than like insta dead. That's what I'm focusing on. I'm blotting everything else out, meditation, the lot. Yeah. I'm just focusing on him because mainly because I don't want all of my memories of Thaddeus in the future to be like, yeah, no, he's my brother-in-law, but I saw him like in a pig mask, cold-heartedly gunned down a man. So I'm desperately trying to sort of like save Roby. I'm ignoring everything else.
Just ask the doctor for help, as Jason says.
Yeah, it seems like the doctor is giving injections tonight, and both of them have gone wrong.
The doctor is in.
I've got a thought. Thaddeus, have you? You're like the drug master general. Have you got anything that like expands consciousness in terms of like drugs?
Anna snaps out of it for a moment.
Thaddeus!
Yes.
And I'll repeat my report. Like, have you got anything that expands the mind as far as drugs go?
Okay, before we get to that, all y'all, a hard power roll.
Oh, fuck.
Hard power roll.
Hard power.
So you put this on hard, and you click this, and you fail.
Hard success, boy.
Yeah, of course
So-
you success.
Okay, good. Then we're going to... Okay, so this is how it goes. So Olivia, you make for like, I can't deal So I'm gonna what? But your the Titanic presence at the lake catches your eye as you prepare to bolt for the museum entrance, and
Is it grandfather noble?
Thaddeus as well. You find yourself. Okay, I suppose you would be the one who's actually facing towards the lake as well, because you
Yeah.
shot. So just naturally, your eyes were already there, and then Clinton, the time slows down, and you're there. You're like, Thaddeus, do you have anything to explore? And then there's Olivier, sort of, and Thaddeus just like staring at the lake. And I'm going to give you some handouts here.
This is a handout showing the inside of a padded cell.
Yeah,
This is a straitjacket.
This is a handout of a new character sheet.
Just drops the mic and walks off.
That would be bad
been wrecked.
to do that. Just hand out news sheet.
Yeah. So, Olivier, that is a thing for you, and then for Thaddeus, let's see.
Or as we call him, the executioner.
You might as well give me a new character sheet. The
Yeah,
way this is
yeah,
written.
we'll see. We'll see about that.
I mean, come on, one little murder.
So
It's funny because,
One
you know, one
major
little
plot
murder is all it
point.
takes to get you arrested and branded as a criminal. It's funny how these things work.
Because of a presence which you have successfully resisted being a little bit enticed by, Clinton, give us a sanity roll.
Okay. Failed.
You have failed
Indeed.
for the last time. No, let's see.
Do I have enough luck?
Do I
No.
fuck?
The fuck you do. So that's 6 points of sanity lost. And then for our friends, I presume Olivier and Thaddeus, you have. I'll just because you, you've read the thing,
Yes.
the handout.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So let's get a sanity roll going.
Okay.
Okay.
New.
All right. So Olivier,
Yes.
we're looking at 91 points of lost sanity. This is what I was talking about.
91.
Yes.
Shall I roll intelligence, or is that not? Do I not need to bother with that?
Let's wait for a bit. So
Okay.
you are quite
Damn.
enveloped by your vision,
Yes.
and so very much true. The last bit of the vision that stands. So there is. Everyone can feel it. Olivier knows what the fuck it is. With these results here, Thaddeus, I just realized I roll for you as well. So 7 points, Thaddeus. So at this point, everyone's kind of on the, because we had 6 for Clinton, 7 for Thaddeus.
I
91.
mean, it's like it's a D100 if you fail, and a D10.
Yeah, if you
It's
succeed.
Yep.
It's like a
I'm still like,
Well,
world
right.
difference.
give
Okay.
me the drugs.
No.
Yeah. So I think there's let me get to my notes again. So there's everyone gets all of this that we just dealt with, and there's a release now. You become aware of other things again. There was that like sort of frozen ground to a halt moment of pressure, and now there's a release, and you can hear screaming from the water carries screaming to your ears from the palace, and there's a wash of weariness and confusion that like just crashes against you, most of all Olivier. And I think given that all of you cross the border of some kind of trouble, let's let's say, I think that's probably it. Like the wash of just like sort of bone deep weariness and also just like absolute confusion just sweeps all of you away. And I think this particular scene from the shore, you're all sent into a sort of mania and just disappear into the city all in your own ways. I imagine, Clinton, you're carrying the body of Roby for at least while we can see you now. But you all like Olivier, you disappear into the museum. Clinton, you run across the shore, and then Thaddeus, I think you probably find a staircase which you like bolt upwards and trying to get to the city proper. And there is all of you. Well, can't really because you're overcome with this disaster wave that has swept your mentalities up like so much leave in the wind. There is all around you, everything is sort of like a heat haze has come upon everything. So as you run, Thaddeus, down this like marble pathway with the garden and the statues, all the statues, there's a haze and they're all a little bit indistinct. And we see all of you bolt out of view, like turn a corner sharply, and then we move on to the next character, and then you do a disappearing act of like down some steep stairs, and we don't see you anymore. And I think that's it, where we cut. Like the sort of scene turns away. We can still hear screaming all the way through. We don't see anyone though, but they're screaming, and I think the scene ends with just a slow pan across like cobblestone streets, and there's a discarded mask with some bloodstains on it, and then there's the like fade to black. And yeah, that is it for book one of the campaign. We have some things to deal with here.
I think that's probably the understatement of the millennia.
Yeah. So I'm gonna. There's unfortunately I entirely forgot to put this in. I can put it in for later, but I'm just gonna read it now. There's a handout to summarize like what you can find in the news media, the papers. So let's see. So this one, I think. Yeah, sorry guys, I entirely blanked on this. I shouldn't have, but yeah. So there's we cut away into a newspaper on a table somewhere, and there's it's the Inverness Courier, which has a story. Village visited by tragedy. A local community was today mourning a dreadful and as yet unexplained rash of deaths that occurred. 12 residents died in their sleep on Wednesday night or Thursday morning, which our timeline might be a little bit fucked up there, but Thursday or Friday morning, in the village of Cannock, which lies on the meeting of the rivers Glass and the river Cannock, 12 miles west of Drumnadrochit. All deaths were apparently due to natural causes, but this in a village of just 110 souls. Doctors from nearby Inverness and Drumnadrochit have attended the scene and have found no evidence that might account for such an anomaly, and the residents were from several distinct households. The only commonality that has so far been established is that the deaths were connected to the old and the very young. No further deaths are believed to have occurred at the time of going to press. The Inverness County Board of Health has declared a quarantine on the area as a precautionary measure. Any persons who might have visited Cannock in the last week are asked to contact the Inverness Hospital. And I think that's where we roll the credits for for our book 1 campaign.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that's-
there's
That's
some
the highest
things.
amount of sanity loss you ever take.
Yeah, absolutely. In the previous campaign I was in, I was so lucky with sanity loss when I failed it. Whereas, yeah, minus 51 I am now on.
So I'm guessing, given that we've all fled madly into a dream city, it's probably new characters all round for the next book.
Yeah, there's a discussion we can have and should have,
Where?
which we can do now, or we can do it off video, whichever you guys want.
Entirely up to you guys. I'm
I'm
happy
prepared to do it now if you want.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it now because we've wrapped up fairly early. So, thanks to Thaddeus
I
the
wouldn't mind getting another
Daddius.
drink, but yes. Yeah, Thaddeus the Daddius.
Yeah, Daddy showed where the
shooting the plot.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, but that's the way you do.
I mean,
sometimes.
come on! It
If-
seemed like he was like like in a bathtub when you pull out that little
Yeah.
plug and everything goes out.
Yeah, and he was.
It was a fact afterwards, like when you asked Jason about whether he got enough luck, and all I could think about was you stood there and be like, "Do you feel lucky? Do you, Roby?"
Do you remember when I said I wanted to help you? I lied. Yeah,
Thaddeus Morgan, eyes of a killer.
yeah. Thaddeus Morgan, MD, which is murder dude. Yeah. So, as far as going forward, there's a thing here which the material doesn't address this specific combination of events. There's
So that's a
things here.
surprise.
There's things here which it absolutely does address. Like I didn't improv a whole bunch there. Like I had some things to go on, so it's not entirely out of the blue for the material. However, this specific combination of stuff is not discussed at all in the book. Some parts of it are, but this not. So first off, there's the fact that you were kind of entirely lacking a way to get back, if such a thing was necessary, and it was, from reading the material. So that's the first thing.
I was going to go with the hope I can dream myself back or click
Yeah.
my ruby slippers together.
Yeah, hopefully if I close my
Well,
eyes
then bonus back.
and think of England.
Unfortunately, we forgot to bring the ruby slippers.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing.
There'll be some
Yeah,
in the
you brought-
museum.
yeah, you brought more guns though.
If there are some ruby slippers in book 2, I'm gonna be really annoyed. Like if they're an artifact that
No.
we discover.
No. So the fact is, the book lays out ways for you to get out from wherever this is, and you don't have any of them to hand, and you all went at least temporarily mad at the same time. And because you did, and if you are at all separated, which given that all of you went a little bit wound up at the same time, the moment you look away from each other, that's kind of it. The city takes you away.
You mean I'm going to be like, oh no, I've lost my murderous gun-toting brother-in-law. Oh
Imagine.
no.
So there's that. And all of that being said,
And all
I'm
this could have been prevented if you just would do as the scouts do: hold hands, stay together, group.
Yeah. I believe holding hands stops you from going insane.
Who's your travel buddy, Clinton? Who's your travel buddy?
yeah, we need to go in twos in a straight line.
Hold hands.
Right, now no one on this trip, repeat, no one is going to go insane and run off into a crazy dream city. Have we got that?
Okay.
Right, good.
Yeah, smash cut forward. Ah!
We didn't write a risk assessment.
Yeah. So
that was why we failed.
like given all that, I think it's entirely plausible that because like if that's something we want to do, we can figure out, and I can figure out ways to have an exit there, or just by the virtue of Roby was an instrumental part of this whole thing, and it wasn't yet time for him to be detached from all this, and he was, because his brain was detached from his head. So given that, whatever he built is going to fall apart, which is what the heat haze was the first step of. So we could play it as, okay, so the thing falls apart because Roby is no longer there to have it built. You could end up back on the lake, Malardok. If that's something we want to do, we can do that, because the book doesn't say either way how this goes. The book gives you ways, but they're all vastly more involved than what you have at the moment going for you, especially because now we are in a post-Robian reality. Those things are not available to you anymore. So we could go with that. Things falls apart. The center cannot hold. You end up back in Malardok, probably quite fucked up, because this wasn't supposed to go like this. So
Yeah, but we kind of saved the world, right?
yeah, you did, like you achieved what you wanted to. Let's make it clear, you fucked up Edwards real bad.
Thank you,
Well,
John.
that'll be it. And look at the right side. If we do make it back, you're probably going to get to go to St Agnes again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I mean, was that for the criminal insane?
For the deranged,
Okay,
not
so
not
okay.
restricted. Yep.
I mean, yes, I suppose.
He's
I mean,
So you go there and it's like, Charlie, like strap me up, dude. I need to chill for a bit.
can I get a room next to my body?
You shock
Well,
therapy
I
quick.
think his mind has left the station, so I'll keep him sedated.
To be honest, given that we've got no way of going out, I'm happy to like take my lumps and gender the character like a man.
Yeah, that's one of the other things as well, which is entirely within how things work, because Roby is away and basically the ship is no longer moored at all.
Mm-hmm.
It just drifts out to sea and you go along with it, and Carcosa takes you away.
So, see, what I'd suggested, and it is entirely just a suggestion, is if you have our characters make it back somehow, we should probably be like really fucked up NPCs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that may appear in a future book, but we probably shouldn't be playing them.
Yeah. So if we want to go, like, I'm good with either of these options. It's just up to like, what do you guys like? Of course, there's the third option. Both of these that I've mentioned before presume that we're going to continue with this campaign. The third one is, do we call it here? That's also a thing, because this is a climax. We know as players that it's not the full thing.
I mean, I kind of like this climax. I would call
I
it
bet
a
you
win.
bloody did, you gun-toting maniac.
Come on, within the context of Call Cthulhu, I would call this a win.
Yeah, it is a win.
Yeah.
It is 100%. This was a win.
To be fair,
It's just you paid a price.
Yeah.
You paid a lot for it.
To be fair, I can't think of anything that's more quintessentially Call of Cthulhu than like, yes, we saved the world, but what did we lose in the process? What was the price?
Yeah, and what the price is, you are now permanent residents of Carcosa, which look,
We
Roby.
didn't even need some paperwork.
Yeah.
I'll be playing with my tiny automobiles.
Yeah, it's like room in your pig mask.
Yeah.
No, that was too gruesome for him. He threw it away.
What's the just out of interest? What's the title of the second book?
British Gods.
Ah, that thing I was reading.
Oh, Dennis, you've wasted all that time I spent reading and learning a culture.
Damn it, Dennis.
I need to start a new character all over again.
I've
with
got
all
to
his
work
books.
up my Cthulhu Mythos rating from 0 again. I had spells, Dennis. Spells.
In I mean, what happens when you take that much sanity damage? Do you just
You go permanently insane.
Yeah, it's permanently insane anyway. No matter how we spin this. So presumably, even if we did carry on with the same, character arcs, I'd surely have to roll something else up anyway.
Yeah,
See,
but are we talking like building like train models out of his own feces insane, or just quirky?
Probably the former.
Completely not functional, I would say.
Okay.
Or a cultist.
Okay, so beyond the pale.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like lost.
Okay.
Or as it said in the thing, there's a thing which has now made you different.
What was that thing
Changed.
we saw? The
Well,
thingy.
we'll never know, right? Because
That's what I'm asking.
yeah.
Tell me,
That's-
I want to know.
Well, you shot the sheriff, and now you can't see the deputy anymore, or something
Damn it,
like that. I don't know.
I go back and fill my sanity. I need to know. I need to read more books.
No, if that's the thing for like if we continue the game,
So
then we can.
I'm very much in favour of continuing the campaign, and like I say, Clinton was obviously well down the sort of cultist track anyway, with like, the whole like dark promise and all of that like shizzle.
Yeah.
But I'd like to continue the campaign, but I'd probably gen a new character for it.
Yeah, I agree. Because even without the crazy sanity damage, I think certainly that your two characters were definitely kind of reaching the end of your arcs, like the cultist thing that you said, John, and also the fact the Doctor has found Roby now.
And mad at him.
But,
Yeah, and he was, well, he was the titular madman, at least in my interpretation. Like Roby was book one, the madman. That was Roby, but in the end, like, it's your call, and you did make a call.
Oh,
So-
Dennis, you missed a trick. You know what you should have done, don't you? You should have been like, it's just been revoked.
oh, I forgot all about that.
Just like him, like with half his head, like, I didn't really set you up for that.
Well, I mean, it's not like Thaddeus is an action character, so he doesn't have cool one-liners.
So if we did go ahead and we gen new characters, obviously when we first started this with like myself and Dennis, you said very much we needed like an autistic guy, we needed like a medical guy. Would there be similar conditions for the second book? Or?
I think we can detach from that because that was the setup for like how we get you on the track.
Yeah.
Now we can come up with our own stuff because obviously like this isn't a counter for in that regard.
What would be like a counter cult?
Yeah, we've all got safety pins for our nose and like massive
No,
moments.
I mean, if we say that,
We're like,
I don't
Cthulhu,
know.
man.
Yeah, but I mean, they are some of the mythos are against each other, right?
Yeah. And there's an element of that for
And
sure.
I mean,
Yeah, there's the Migo
Dagon
that are
is a pretty
against all
cool
the-
dude.
So we're going from. So let's make a cult.
I've got that Innsmouth look.
Oh God. Yeah, we
Yeah.
brought it
Yeah,
over to
okay,
Britain.
okay, yeah, okay, fish people, yeah. So what
So-
other options do we have in the cults?
You're going to the cult store. You're
Yeah.
browsing.
Yeah,
I was
look. Oh, fish. Yeah, I'm fish mutants.
I was
Migos
gonna
with
suggest,
so
'cause
many
obviously-
people.
I'm not going to have time to go through it this evening, but I was going to suggest perhaps if we're all available next Sunday, perhaps do like a sort of character Jenny bit so we can all make sure we've got
Sure,
characters
yeah,
that
yeah.
work together,
Yeah.
and then maybe
absolutely.
like if we get enough time, go into like the start of the second book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously then
Yeah.
we'll have
Yeah,
you here as well,
perfect.
Johanna, so we can like ask you questions and stuff like, just check these are going to work with.
Yeah, and I will have to figure out, and we also have to talk amongst ourselves, like how are we gonna dovetail the new characters to like make the thing go again,
Yeah.
because we were gonna need motivation and stuff, which is like actually makes it go, because now there's a bunch of fairly more like motivated bits. Obviously, like if you had made it back home and you were sane, you would have been like, because you would probably have found some stuff out, whereas you pulled the plug and you did achieve your aims, but you didn't learn a whole lot. So
Oh,
there's a thing where we now need people who are motivated like your characters would have been if they made home and were sane, and we're like, so that was a thing. We went there. Those people were doing bad shit, and some of their friends still exist. So,
Oh, how's this for a random
here's an idea.
suggestion? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
John plays the daughter of Bacon, and she comes back to London with her two lovers, and see her father murdered. What are we on the PG rating or something?
no, we're not. But I'm looking for the angle of making things go that isn't just they go to Scotland and.
I was going to suggest, because obviously we know that Thaddeus was like involved in like the Hellfire Club.
Mhm.
How about we all play?
Posters.
But how about we all play members of that club who've maybe been like investigating into things a bit, and they sort of go, oh, well, we'll speak to Thaddeus because he seems to like be a bit sort of in the know. And then they're like, oh, he's not been around for a bit. Oh, let's see what's happened to him. And they're like, oh, he was last seen going to Scotland, and no one's seen him since.
Yeah, if we wanted to, we could definitely, and that would be an easy thing. Like if everyone wants to, we could just pick like one context, like we just now have, Hellfire Club or like other occult club thing, which we manufacture a reason for them to have a bunch of your intel, and then they follow your steps, and then we move on.
So you're saying instead of being mythos cultists, we're gonna be Satanists?
That's a thing.
Yeah. So I'm thinking it's obviously if you want to go into the cultist thing later on, it's a fairly easy lead in, and also there's a bit of a link to it. But because there's lots of different types of people in that club, we've still got a bit of leeway with what actual characters we want to play.
Yeah.
But we'll start off with some like normal occult knowledge, and we've got the link with Thaddeus that can lead us into it.
I just thought technically there is Henry Lister as well, the poor sod.
Oof. Yeah, he's still around because he didn't make it
Yeah.
because he had a breakdown.
What? Did we leave one unmurdered?
Yes.
Yeah, he was the guy
Yes,
on the
we
train,
did.
wasn't he? Who had the
Yeah.
breakdown,
Yeah.
and we just sort of
Yeah.
like left him with the gendarmes on the train.
That's just bad.
We just took his whistle and left him.
Yeah, that's just bad PCing.
Well, maybe that's why you end up in the hospital for the criminally insane. You just sort of like turned up back and you're like, today's the day I take out the trash.
I've been looking for your Lister.
Remember when I said I just wanted your whistle, Lister? I lied.
Get your whistle blown, Lister. Yeah. This is going to be a terrible.
This is the
second
last
arc.
whistle you're ever going to blow, Lister. And I'm going to blow you away.
Yeah. So as we can all tell, this has been we have also deteriorated as people, or have we? So yeah, we can definitely talk about that. Let's take a session next time, or if not, then I'll talk to you all on the week on Facebook and set some stuff up. And if we can set things up adequately during the week as well, we could just have all y'all roll some characters. I'll put empty sheets for you here, so if we settle things, you can just roll your stuff and we'll play next Sunday, but we'll figure that out.
Sweet. Well, thank you very much for running it. That was definitely a crazy ass session.
Yeah, thank you.
And I very much
Tentacle
enjoyed it.
Master.
Yeah, thanks for playing. It was definitely a thing.
Indeed. Okay, obviously I'm happy to chat for a bit afterwards, but I'll stop the stream here.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.